Welcome to episode 733 of the Friends of Fantasy Benefits Baseball Podcast. I am Justin Mason, joined as always by Dave McDonald. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Fresh off of getting back from our live draft with Glarf in Chicago. So, back here trying to catch up on all the news and all the stuff that was going on that I wasn't able to keep up with while I was in Chicago. So it's quite a bit, but I'm glad we're going to be able to go over it on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we were just like looking at our phones like the entire draft on Saturday for Barf, just like any news, because I mean, a few years ago, so it wasn't last year, because last year we were online, but in 2020, because we drafted in February that year, so before the pandemic, we had a bunch of news break in the middle of the draft. I'm trying to remember, there was I think Eno had drafted Emilio Pagan thinking he was going to be a closer, and then he got traded in the middle of our draft to San Diego. And so we were just like waiting, like, is anything going to happen? Anything going to happen? Like Kikuchi signed. Chris Bassett was traded. But no one drafted Kikuchi in our league, and then Bassett, he had already been drafted by the time that trade went down. So
now, when did the Twins trade happen? Because someone said they had George Bissell in their draft, and he like drafted like at the end of his draft it was like Gio Urshela, IKF, and like Miranda.
I think it happened the next day. So but they drafted on Sunday.
Oh, maybe they drafted Sunday, and so that happened in the middle of one of the because like he took it with his last three picks, and he works for NBC Sports, so I think he was on the news desk like during the draft. So
I guess a good time to be on the news desk.
Alex Colomé was signed to Colorado in the middle of our draft because my friend Marcus was texting me and Jake, who were both in the Glarf draft together. But thankfully, Jake never fucking looks at his phone. So, like, I saw the news and I took him. We were, it was late in the draft. I took Colomé in like the 25th round. And I was like, hey, I know it's Colorado and Colomé's not great, but if he has the job, he's at least a good, plan B until I get another better guy in there. So,
yeah, we'll talk about Colomé. We're going to talk about all the moves that have happened pretty much over the last week, and a massive amount of moves. I mean, I did a lot of these. Talked about a lot of these on Sleeper and the Bust on Sunday, and we had to like go back to record after we finished because the Sonny Gray news like dropped like 5 minutes after we finished recording. So we had to go back and do a little addendum. So we're gonna run through them all, and then we're gonna talk about our Earth League drafts. Glarf for you, Barf for me. And see how we did. So I think we both kind of like our teams, but who knows? We'll see if the other likes our teams. So let's start with some news because we do have a big list. Some of these are going to be like inconsequential, and if they are, just who cares, right? We'll just move on.
Right.
Carlos Rodon signs a 2-year deal with my San Francisco Giants. I wasn't super pleased with this necessarily. It's not necessarily a bad real life deal. I just had hoped they would use that money on a bat. Maybe they still will go get a bat. And I'm not super confident about Rodon's long-term
They get
health.
so much out of those platoon bats, though. It doesn't really surprise me that they're not going for some big guys because the way that they have structured it, they take guys who are really good against righties, get guys who are really good against lefties, and they just platoon them, and they've gotten so much out of guys like Lamont Wade and, Darren Ruff and Yastrzemski and, Austin Slater, Wilmer Flores. So I don't know.
It's so much better if you could just have that middle of the order. Because, there's no Posey this year. You can't expect Brandon Belt to repeat what he did last season. No. I don't think you can expect Crawford to repeat what he did last season. I hope they're good. I hope they're close to as good.
Right. But especially in their mid-30s now. Yeah, they're getting older.
Especially with Belt's health history. He only played like 90-something games last year as it is. Like,
yeah, true.
So I'm hoping they're not out on Suzuki or Castellanos or one of the bigger bats. I can't imagine they're going to sign, Story or Correa, but
I heard Suzuki's going to the Padres. I don't know if that's not official yet, but
that is not official. He recently in the last hour or so put out an Instagram post that said he has not made his decision. So that the report from a Japanese newspaper apparently is premature. It would San Diego would make a lot of sense though.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, they're West Coast, so, large Japanese population. They've got Yu Darvish on the team already. He spent a day with Yu Darvish in San Diego yesterday. So, maybe that, I think it'd be a great fit for him. But let's talk about Rodon.
Yeah.
What are you doing in terms of his fantasy value? You are typically a guy who fades health risk guys. He is going to jump up huge in the ADP. I'm really excited to kind of see where he lands. In my Barf League draft, which is a Bay Area draft, he went in the 6th round.
Woo! Wow. Let me see. Where did he go in Glarf? He went in the 8th in ours. So obviously, you're getting the hometown push there, which you probably expected. But there's a lot of appeals to authority. This always happens every year. I see this, and it's the same thing. People, well, they wouldn't have paid this guy if he weren't healthy and all that stuff. And I've done very well by disregarding statements like that in the past. And, there's been some exceptions. There's been some times where people signed guys who seem to be injury risks and then they turned out okay. But this doesn't do anything for me in terms of Rodon being healthy now. I still am very skeptical. It still makes no sense to me why the White Sox would have let him go. People are like, well, they have Kopech and Keuchel and all this. I'm like, okay, you're not going to let go of a potential Cy Young candidate for 16 mil for that option or whatever. There's no
18
way.
Or 19.
It doesn't matter. The White Sox aren't going to. They're a World Series contender. They're not worried about that money. They clearly had reservations. Teams sign players all the time who are not healthy. So don't think that means that, oh, well, he passed the physical, so he's good to go. No, that's not what it means. So for me, and I know, people have higher expectations because it's, what's your GM's name? He's, really
Farhan.
well. Yeah, Farhan. Yeah, he's very, very well respected and everything. And I get that. But, and in Farhan, we trust. You see all that stuff all the time. And who knows? Maybe that's the case. But maybe they sign him for 2 years because they're hoping to get, maybe if he's not completely healthy this year, they're hoping he will be for next year, and then they can use him then. And I saw they signed Carlos Martinez too. It kind of seemed like a hedge. I don't know.
They also signed someone else.
Junis?
Jacob Junis, I believe. Because I was talking about this. Like, this does not change a ton for me. He bumps up a little bit, sure. But I had him outside of my top 40 starters, so bumping him up a little bit, and I'll double check exactly where I ended up pushing him up, because I did update my starting pitcher ranks last night. So I bumped him up to 37.
Okay.
Which is kind of like somewhat of an injury risk tier. It's got Gallen and Yu Darvish and Charlie Morton and Nathan Eovaldi. It's guys that have a lot of talent, but I don't know that I trust their ability to be an ace for me. And so I have them as an SP3 because I'm a little bit more willing.
You don't want to count on
them. Right.
Yeah. Some of those, I mean, Morton could end up being like easily be okay. Like a leg fracture is not.
But until we see him throwing and, I have like Shane McClanahan in that tier. Not that he's an injury risk, but we don't know what kind of innings we're going to get from Shane McClanahan, right? And so I'm probably not going to end up with Rodon because I think his ADP is going to continue to rise. I think people are going to see San Francisco has been great with pitchers. They've been great with health, in terms with pitchers. They do, Eno Saris was recently talking on a episode of Rates and Barrels about like just how much goes into their injury prevention in San Francisco, which was really interesting to hear. Not something I had heard about necessarily before. So, but that being said, I mean, this is a guy who's got just a litany of injury issues throughout his career. He's coming off of an amazing season, but one that was marred by injuries down the stretch. I'm probably fading. And someone was like, well, someone did the same thing as you, right? Or what you were just saying, right? Like, hey, he took a physical, he passed it, right? Like, I'm like, if the team didn't think he had injury concerns, or if almost every team in Major League Baseball didn't think he had injury concerns, he would get a 5-year deal.
Right.
He got a 2-year deal with an opt-out. So, like, if he proves it again, he can go test the market. And and get that 5-year deal. But the fact that no team was willing to give him a long-term deal more than 2 years with, coming off the season he's coming off of, says that every team, who was shopping in that kind of, in that
price range,
was saying we don't trust that you're going to last 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people. You need to just stop with the appeals of authority that they know more than I do and all that stuff. It just that never gets you anywhere good. You just need to be logical and look at the facts and then make your conclusions from that, and don't worry about what teams do or don't do.
Teams definitely know more than we do, but they probably don't know as much as they think they do sometimes.
Could be, or maybe, but like I said, maybe they know that there's injury risk there, but they're like, well, maybe he'll be healthy for the playoffs this year, and then we'll have him for all of next year too. Something like that. Like, just because that 2-year deal doesn't mean that they expect him to be 100% this year. So,
and I mean, ostensibly, it's a 1-year deal. I mean, because he, like I said, he has got the opt out. So, I mean, there's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal.
Really, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's they have the money. If they have the money to do that, then go for it.
$22 million is not that much a year when you're paying guys like Corey Knebel $10 million. Like, you know.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
We mentioned Carlos Martinez, Jacob Junis to the Giants on minor league deals. These are just depth moves. I mean, I would be a little bit interested in Martinez if he made the opening day rotation. For those of you who have been on the Tyler Beede bandwagon, this is not a good sign.
No, not great. And it always kind of seemed like it was. I didn't really completely buy into Beede being just good to go this year. Anyways, if he is, it'll probably be later on in the season. But I don't know. He's a question mark.
I mean, I've always been a Carlos Martinez guy. I love the fact that he's going to my favorite team. I'll be very interested to see what they can do with him. But I mean, this is clearly waiver wire fodder in every format other than a 50-round draft goal. So.
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw is back in LA on a 1-year deal. Does this inspire any sort of confidence in you?
No.
Okay. Me neither. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Kershaw's great because I love watching Kershaw pitch. I wish he wasn't pitching for my least favorite team. But yeah, I mean, this doesn't change. I have him outside my top 60 pitchers. And I have no intention of moving him inside of that based on this move.
So where Rodon is a guy that I'm fading, but he's not completely off my board. Kershaw's completely off my board.
Yeah,
so,
me too. Pretty much.
He's just the guy that if he ends up being okay, I'm just willing to be wrong on. So I don't think he is.
Yeah. Andrelton Simmons signs a deal to go to the Cubs. What do you think about this? And what does this do to Nico Horner?
I don't know what the fuck the Cubs are doing. I never know.
I don't get it.
I thought they were going to, strip everything down and rebuild. And here they are signing Marcus Stroman. They've got Wade Miley's corpse in there. They're talking about extending Contreras now. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Sarah Sanchez, one of our Glarf members, about the Cubs and what the fuck they're doing. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they were talking about signing Correa, and then they end up with Andrelton Simmons. It's like, well, that's a bit of a letdown. Not that although I think whoever ends up, I don't think Correa is going to get the deal that he had hoped he was going to get. He thinks he's going to get like 10 million or 10 years, 300 million. That would have been a horrendous deal for whoever signed him. That would have looked really bad really quickly for whoever signed him. But obviously, this is not a great sign for the Cubs, being taken seriously. But it's a good thing for their pitchers. I mean, it's definitely a bump up for their defense.
Yeah, I mean, especially for Stroman, who's a ground ball guy.
Love Stroman.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's really nice. I don't know that he's got much fantasy value other than like the deepest of formats.
No. Emergency, fourth string shortstop in a DC as
well. NL only.
Right.
So Dave Martinez said today that he would love if Tanner Rainey could cement himself as the closer And he hopes that Victor Robles can cement himself as the everyday center fielder. The Nationals also signed Sean Doolittle and Steve Cishek to major league deals. Or actually, I think Doolittle might have been a minor league deal.
Yeah.
What do you make? Let's start with the closing situation first, because I've been a huge proponent of Kyle Finnegan. He finished the year as the closer last year. I know Tanner Rainey's been going ahead of him in ADP, which has been, I thought, great for me. This does not inspire any confidence in Kyle Finnegan, my most drafted player so far this season.
Yeah, it's not great. I was not a Finnegan proponent. I always kind of saw this as a mess that I didn't really want to deal with. I know that they want Rainey to be a guy. I know that if Rainey is right, if he can get those walks under control, he could be like really, really good. But and that does happen, especially with relievers where they can all of a sudden go from, I mean, you saw Kimbrel go from zero control to elite closer,
from
like
elite closer to crap to elite closer.
Right. But we do see those swings, especially with relievers, small sample size and all that. So I don't know if Rainey's been working on his craft this offseason or whatever, but they clearly want him to be the guy. I don't hate the pick, but I don't like relying on him. Like, he'd be a guy who I would want to take a shot on, like if he fell a little bit as like a closer 3 or something like that.
There's no way that happens now.
No, it won't, because people will take him before then. So it's just really a situation that I'm avoiding. You could take a late shot on Cishek in DCs. You could get him for pretty much free because he has some closing experience a long time ago, but he's so old, and I mean, it's hard to see him closing at this point. And Doolittle does nothing for me. Like, he's lost so much velo. He's pretty much terrible at this point, unless he did something to revive his career, but I doubt it.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'll be pushing Finnegan down my boards, but like in my relief pitcher ranks, I will move Finnegan behind Rainey, but he'll be right behind Rainey because Tanner Rainey sucks. like Tanner Rainey is not good. He has got a career. Let me find it.
It's bad.
Walk rate is like 17% walk rate.
Yeah,
and a career 1.68 homer per 9.
Yeah.
Like I understand he strikes people out, and he is, he's got electric stuff, but he can't command it. He can't control it, and that is a problem.
Granted, we're only talking about a sample size of like 100 innings here, so there's certainly time for him to. But he also has injury issues too, so that's the other concern. I mean, it's a mess, and I don't really want to deal with it now. Victor Robles getting that push from the manager. It's I think that's telling. They want him to be the guy. I have no faith in Lane Thomas holding down that job personally. I'm staying far away. Maybe, but I don't even know. They could probably both play, honestly. Like, I guess it would be Lane maybe in left and Victor in center, and then Soto obviously in right. So they could probably both play if they wanted to, because Yadiel Hernandez doesn't need to be in there. So I think he's an interesting late pick as long as he doesn't get pushed up too high.
I don't think. I mean, I unless he has like an amazing spring training, like I can't imagine he's gonna. I think I think everybody has been burnt once or twice with Victor Robles. I'm not giving up on him. I mean, we're not that far removed from a 17-28 season, something like that.
This is a former like number 1 overall prospect. Like, he has talent. I get that his StatCast metrics have not been good, but he's still how old is he? 23, maybe 20, almost 25.
He's going to be 25 this year. That's nothing. Like, he's just
right. He still has. There's still power can develop over time too.
I don't think this hurts Lane Thomas at all. I think Lane Thomas is everyday left fielder if Robles is playing center. So I think he's fine. I think he'll probably still lead off too in what is now a much better lineup.
Yeah,
with Nelson Cruz in the middle of it. So let's talk real quick about that. Nelson Cruz signs a 1-year deal with an option, I think a mutual option for a second year. It's $12 million guaranteed this year with a $3 million buyout for next year. What are your thoughts on Nelson Cruz, who is going insanely low right now?
Yeah, I mean, didn't see that coming. I don't. The Nationals just add them to the teams of I don't know what the fuck they're doing either. I guess now they're going for it.
I think they're looking at Juan Soto's prime and going, we can't waste this.
Yeah, I mean that's what they should be doing, frankly. So, I really love.
I don't know why they traded Turner to do that.
That's a good question. That's why I'm saying I don't know what they're doing, but I guess maybe they're just making a show of it, like pretending like they're going for it to their ticket holders and whatnot. But I love this because I love taking hitters who are leaving Coors, like we saw with Willie Adames. You know, we've heard the concerns about the
leaving Tampa Bay.
Sorry, who did I say?
You said Coors.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, leaving Tampa Bay. We've heard, concerns about the batter's eye there and how hitters have a difficult time seeing. Their park factor there for righties is 86. He's going to the Nationals, which has a park factor for righties of 112 for homers.
Yeah.
So I've never been on Nelson Cruz really because he's always been taken way too high. I am way in at this price. So, I think.
He's never been taken way too high. I push back on that. He has always returned value where he's gone.
There's factors that people don't take into consideration when it's a utility only player because there's you're also there's player opportunity costs with using that slot. But I will agree with you. He has outperformed what I've expected most years. So
yeah, I mean, now he's going like pick 180, 190. I mean, he'll go up now that he's signed, but
yeah, now he's going to go way earlier. I think people are concerned about him retiring.
He goes inside the top 150.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'd still take him as high as top 100.
I was going to say, I think NFBC live events he'll be going around 100. That would be
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So you're still in at 100, like pick 100.
Yeah, I mean, I've been taking him just about every draft. He's probably my most rostered hitter.
Oh wow, okay.
And the only times I haven't gotten him is when I've just tried to play the ADP game for too long.
So pick 100. He's going around Brian Reynolds, JD Martinez, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger.
I'd take him right in the middle of that.
Ooh, yeah, I'd probably need.
I would take Reynolds and JD Martinez over him, but I'd take him over Bellinger's injuries and Yelich's injuries, unless I really needed speed. If I really need speed, then I probably take
Yelich doesn't ever miss major time though. I'm not really he'll miss a day or two here with his back, but
he didn't miss very much time last year, and they said his back was not an issue, and look what he produced. What if at this point this is who he is?
Maybe. I'm still willing to take him over Cruz still. Cruz is going to miss some time too. Like he won't play 162 games for sure. He'll be in the 130
he doesn't need to
range.
I mean, look what he does in 130 games.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I think it depends on what you need at that point, right? Like, do you need speed? Do you need, power and average? Because I mean, he's going to hit probably 280 with 35 bombs.
Yeah, Bellinger's the only guy there that I would take him over, though. Everybody else I'd rather have than Cruz. I'll probably take Cruz in like the 115, 120 range.
That's fair. Yeah. Let's see. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was traded to Minnesota.
Yeah.
For Mitch Garver. Mitch Garver goes to Texas. And then he tweets out, I'm back in the 6-hole, baby, where I belong. And before he can finish hitting send, he is traded to the Yankees, where I'm sure he will bat 8th or 9th, in a deal with Josh Donaldson for Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, what a crazy trade.
I mean, just Minnesota wheeling and dealing, man. Like,
Yeah.
And now there's talk that they could get Story. I don't know that I buy that, but what are your thoughts on all of this?
I think we need to see the finished product first because I don't know who's playing. Like right now, they've got LeMahieu as their starting first baseman on roster resource. I highly doubt that that's the case. I still think that they'll land a guy like Rizzo. So if they land Rizzo and Story, so Kiner-Falefa obviously
they're not getting Story.
Okay. But let's say that they land Rizzo, then you move LeMahieu to second, and then Torres back to short. Although they really liked Torres at second base last year, so I don't know what they're gonna do. Because obviously you got Josh Donaldson at third base. You can't move one of them to the DH because Stanton and Judge. Stanton can't play outfield full time. No way. So what are you doing? I feel like there's more moves to come here before we can really judge what they're doing. But I don't expect IKF to be the starter. I'll say that.
I think he is the starter.
Yeah, you don't think that they're gonna move?
Brian Cashman loves Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Really?
And they have two premier shortstop prospects that they don't want to block long term. This is why they're not in on Correa's story. Right. They've got Velope and I'm blanking on Oswaldo Cabrera. Is that his name? I can't remember.
What is his name?
But either way,
Cabrera. Oswaldo
okay.
Cabrera. Yeah.
They don't want to block either of them, so they're looking at Isaiah Kiner-Falefa as kind of a short-term gap. He can also play other positions, right? Like he can play catcher, he can play third, he can play second, he can, and so I think that
does make him interesting that he can play catcher potentially, because all they have is Higashioka and Rortvedt now.
I don't know that he's going to play very much catcher, but
well, I don't know either, but that would be really interesting if you like drafted him on a DC and you ended up with catcher eligibility in like June or July.
Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to play pretty regularly. I think there are going to be a lot of moving pieces. I mean, this will work itself out in season because, like you mentioned, Judge, Stanton, Donaldson are guys who just do not stay healthy. Aaron Hicks. Yeah, I mean, like these are guys who do not stay healthy.
Yeah.
So even when they bring in Rizzo and send Voit somewhere else, because I assume Voit will be traded.
Yeah, that's my
next
assumption.
to nothing, or maybe even just designated for assignment.
I've also heard Torres might be on the move. I've heard that they might be trading Glabber.
That'd be great. I mean, for them. I mean,
because I don't see them playing DJ LeMahieu at first base. I mean, here and there maybe, but I think that they'll bring in a guy like Rizzo to start there, and then I think they'll move LeMahieu back to second base, and then Torres will probably get traded, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they trade him back to the Cubs. get Wilson Contreras for him.
That'd be great. Wilson Contreras in the Bronx would be awesome.
They've been tied to him for a while, so
yeah.
Who knows? But they're obviously not done. There's going to be some other moves.
Yeah.
But I like this for Donaldson. It's a great park for him to be hitting in. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is whatever. Like, I don't think he's super special, especially now that he doesn't have catcher eligibility. I don't think he'll get enough games. Like, I don't think he'll get 10 games in season to get that. He might get enough in like Yahoo leagues and where it's 5 games in season, maybe, but it doesn't sound like they're really necessarily that interested in playing him as a catcher. It sounds like they're going to be going with Higashioka and
I'm sorry, what was that name again?
Higashioka. And who's the other guy? I don't even know who they traded. They traded for in his deal. I don't know. I know he played a little bit last year, but I really don't know much about him. So
yeah, I mean, who knows?
Supposedly they really like him, so he might end up being the main guy.
Maybe.
But it's probably.
I would guess Higashioka gets more playing time.
I bet it's 50-50.
I think it could be close to because they, roster resources thinking like Rortvedt plays versus righties, Higashioka plays versus lefties, but I think it'll probably be just more split 50-50. I actually like Higgy. Like, I think he's got some good power. So,
I think he's interesting. I've got him in a few DCs.
Same. So. Yeah, I think he's an interesting, like, cheap guy for power late. Now, what about the Twins? What do you think? What direction do you think they're going in here?
Supposedly they're going to try to flip Gary Sanchez. So
no, they said that was a false report. They said.
Oh, okay.
Then they corrected that report by saying they are not looking. I think Nightingale said they were going to, and then Rosenthal corrected him saying they are not looking to flip him.
Okay. That kind of sucks for people who invested highly in Ryan Jeffress, because there were some people who were getting really excited about him all of a sudden.
I didn't buy into that. I was like, that happened right before the Glarf draft, and I said I'm not taking Jeffers as a starting catcher because I don't think I think they're bringing someone else in there.
I think it's really interesting for Sanchez. I think people are going to be, I think, a little bit down on him because he moves to a worse lineup, and it's obviously a worse park. but it's a better division. And it is, I guess it's not that much better pitching wise, but it's likely a team where he can hit higher up in the lineup on a regular basis and DH at bats. They don't have Nelson Cruz this year. And they've shown that they are willing to play their catcher with Mitch Garver at DH at times. So like I think that Gary Sanchez could have a bigger plate appearance mark this year. You're definitely gonna have to still deal with a bad batting average. That's
he's just off my board. I don't like guys with his contact profile.
If I need power late, that's fine because I think he's gonna slip in drafts even more than he has. I mean, he's been going super late.
I definitely think that.
And so I actually think he is more interesting outside of New York. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested. So we're getting
how do you
hit 3 bombs versus a 3-bomb game versus the Blue Jays. None of Yogi Berra, Elston Howard, Thurman Munson, Posada ever did that. Put him in the hole right now, baby.
Oh God, no. But how do we? I think the biggest effect here is on the Twins pitching staff, though. It's not good news. It's not good news for Sonny Gray, Dylan Bundy, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan, and whoever else they end up bringing in there.
TPH says Oswald Peraza should supposedly be up this year, so he could see being IKF being the first half, then utility.
Yeah,
okay. I did not realize he was he was that close. I know Velope is probably not up.
I mean, I would imagine that's the case because if they were a year away, there's no way that the Yankees would just settle for like a shitty guy for.
You say that, but they've been settling with guys for a while now. Like this is not the Yankees team we grew up with.
Yeah, to a degree, but who did they have starting last year that was on IKF level? Like that they
Gio Urshela?
No, Gio Urshela is a much better hitter than IKF is.
I mean, he's better. I wouldn't say he's much better.
Okay.
They've been rolling out Aaron Hicks and Brett Gardner for years.
He's also an elite defender, so.
Yes, he is. He's a very good defender. All right, let's move right on and talk about a massive deal. Jordan Lyles goes to the Orioles. Do you care at all?
I mean, Lyles was a guy who I kind of liked in DCs as a late innings eater type guy. I like him a whole lot less now in Baltimore. I can say that. So yeah, I probably will just be staying away from him at this point. I mean, there's going to be a lot of blowups there and not a lot of great matchups. And in those parks, he's just going to get in those teams, those offenses in the AL East are just going to light him up.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, I know there's a park change, and so that might make things a little bit. But he was in Texas and awful. That's a great place to pitch, and he was bad. Why would I think Camden's going to be any better and the AL East going to be any better? No. All right. Tony La Russa expects Craig Kimbrell to be on the White Sox opening day. Do you believe him?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It sounds like it's bad news for him. I wasn't drafting him anyways because of the uncertainty, but no, I don't necessarily believe him. What else are you going to say? This guy is on your team right now. So of course you have to say stuff like that. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, well, we're desperately trying to trade him here. There's nothing good comes out of saying that. Cause then if he's still with the team, then he feels alienated and other teams then know that they're desperate to unload him and all this other stuff. So I think
they signed Kendall Graveman before the lockout. They signed Joe Kelly since the lockout ended.
Right.
They are making plans to have Kimbrell on another team. I don't know what the hell is going on my camera right now. But I'm just changing colors nonstop. So I for those of you watching, I apologize.
I thought you were developing film. It looks like one of those.
Look, now it's normal. Now it's normal, and now it's going back to I'm in some sort of red room of pain.
Yeah, which might not be far off on most days, but
yeah, you never. It is Monday. All right. I expect Kimbrell to be traded. The question is where though, because Philadelphia seemed like one of the logical spots. They've added pieces now.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much.
I haven't really thought about it, about where it would be a fit.
I think San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego definitely needs a closer.
You know, they've got a bunch of good pieces, but they don't have like that shutdown guy. And they were a team last year with a bunch of pieces that went out and got Melanson to be the guy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it would. I think San Diego. I think maybe they're trying to figure out the bat situation right now, and then they'll figure out the rest. So I expect Kimbrel to be on another team. You know. So if he starts dipping your draft because people are afraid that he's not going to get traded, I'll take the gamble after like pick 130, 140, something like that.
Let's see. He's currently going around 130 right now, like in the last couple of weeks. So that's too early for me. I think I would be a buyer maybe around like 160-ish, something like that.
I think it just depends on the construct of my team already, right? Do I have 2 closers?
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to get 2 closers before that point anyways. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Corey Knebel will be the closer as of right now, according to Giardi. That was a couple days ago, and today they signed Brad Hand. So does that change anything for you?
Well, again, the wording there is as of right now. So, you know, whereas a lot of people were like, oh, this is good news. I was thinking of it the other way. I was like, oh, so, I mean, it doesn't change anything from what I thought, which was they signed him to be the most likely candidate to close, but it by no means that they're done or that they're handing him the job. So he's still a big risk to me and is going way too early for that risk. Like people are assuming he's the guy and they shouldn't be.
If Brad Hand looks halfway decent, then they're sharing this role.
I think people don't understand how much managers value prior closing experience. Like we know that it means nothing. That's dumb, but to managers, it means a lot. And Brad Hand has a lot more closing experience than Corey Knebel does. So even though Knebel's the better talent, it absolutely matters. And Brad Hand is a great flyer.
And they have Jose Alvarado on in the bullpen already. So
I'm not concerned about Alvarado closing.
No, I'm not concerned about that. But often they don't want to give it to a lefty because they don't have another lefty in the bullpen. But they have another lefty in the bullpen, so they could give it to Hand.
True. Yeah.
So,
yep.
Let's see. Someone's asking if Boxberger has any value in saves holds leagues. Yeah, I mean, not a ton because they've got Williams there too.
Yeah, they've got other guys who can get holds there. I mean, he'll get some holds, but I wouldn't. He's not a guy that I would want to target.
Do we have Boxberger on this list?
Yes, we do.
I think. Okay, let's talk about him real quick then. So Brad Boxberger, he goes to the Brewers.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was a guy that people had been kind of getting excited about. In terms of, hey, maybe he could be a closer. Obviously, going to the Brewers, you've got you've got Hader there, you've got Devin Williams there.
Yeah,
he's not even second man up. So
no, and they've also got. I mean, when Topa comes back, and they've got Jake Cousins there. There's a lot of opportunity for holds there, and there's pretty much zero opportunity for saves.
Yeah. For me in the saves hold league, I don't know. Do you play any save hold leagues?
I don't, but I still want to target the closers because there's only one guy getting saves, whereas there's multiple guys getting holds. So
honestly, in draft, I don't target many holds guys. Like I'll target some closers. Yeah. I devalue them because like people are always like, oh, you can find saves on the waiver wire. You know what you really can find on the waiver wire? Holds all the time. Like you just you look at the last week. Hey, who's gotten 2 or 3 holds? That's who I'm going to roll with until there's another guy that emerges. Like I never invest in holds at the draft table. I always just I wait in free agency or in waiver wire. Josh Harrison signs a deal to go to the White Sox.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is that interesting at all to you?
I mean, it's not great for him. For what I see right now, like, for the DH slot, they've got Gavin Sheets. Maybe Andrew Vaughn gets some time there too. I mean, Andrew Vaughn will play. I don't know what the time split there is. They've got Adam Engel in right field. They've got Larry Garcia starting at second, and then Josh Harrison. So Harrison can play some second base. Larry Garcia can play some right field, so like they could do like a 3-way split between those guys, and then Sheets and Vaughn could split time at DH and maybe get some time in the outfield here and there to sit some guys, keep them healthy. But it doesn't seem great for Harrison's value. Like it seems like he'll likely start against all lefties, and then he'll probably get occasional time versus righties as well. But it kind of seems like it'll be an ugly kind of split.
Yeah, I mean, they just signed Lurie Garcia to a long-term deal.
Yeah,
like a 3-year deal. So like at the end of November. So like he's gonna probably be at least the strong side of the platoon.
Yeah,
at second base. So I think all this does is add more confusion to the White Sox, which was a team that already had a bunch of confusion for those last few spots, anyways. Like I said, I think, like you said, I think it hurts probably Andrew Vaughn, Gavin Sheets, because they're gonna play Harrison sometimes, which means they're just gonna take more at bats away from a promising young player in Andrew Vaughn.
And honestly, Gavin Sheets is a guy who's kind of gone under the radar, but the dude's actually a legit pretty good hitter.
I think he's good. The problem is he's UT only,
right?
And we don't know what his role is.
Yeah, but I think for all the people who are just drafting Andrew Vaughn thinking he's just going to get every time playing time, I think you should look at what he got last year with the White Sox. They never played him full time. Doesn't mean that they won't, but I don't see any reason to assume they will either. So.
He's got a hit. Yeah, I think he's going to go back to the minors, to be honest. Why have him up there for, to play 3 days a week? Let him go to the minors and play every day.
I don't know if he's a pretty polished hitter, but he only hit 235 last year. I don't know. I think it'll depend on how he looks in spring training, but I think he also got quite unlucky last year, but
I think he's going to be good at some point. It may need to be somewhere else, though. Maybe the White Sox need to trade Andrew Vaughn.
I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with the rest of their offseason here, but yeah, it's an ugly situation and one that I'm avoiding for the most part.
I'm rooting for him. Andrew Vaughn played high school ball within walking distance of my house.
That's
and
cool.
My wife works with his dad.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've actually gotten inside information from him. I have.
Oh, so he's not playing regularly then.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't got shit. I wish I had. There was some dude who was trying to break story to the Twins on Twitter last night. He's like, I've got sources, and it's like you look at his page, it's like you've got more sources than you Twitter followers. I don't have sources. I've got a source in a different organization. That's it.
I remember that.
Yeah. You say Kikuchi, we've kind of mentioned this before. He goes to the Blue Jays. Are any interest in Kikuchi?
He's really interesting because of the fact that when they had the different ball before they switched things up last year, he was a borderline ace, and then he went to unusable pretty much. I think he's an interesting dart throw in case, I don't know. I have no idea what the ball is going to be. I have no idea what the sticky stuff ban, if that's still going to be in place. There's so many things that I can't control or know. I do like taking a shot on him, but there's other guys going where he goes that I like more. And now that he's going to the Blue Jays, I don't love that for playing in the AL East and all that stuff. In Seattle, I liked it a lot. But yeah, now it's definitely a lot dicier, and the downside is more prevalent. I mean, if he gets lit up, it's going to be bad in the AL East.
Yeah, I don't like this move at all for him.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, he's a guy who has a pretty good ground ball tilt going to that turf in Toronto. Bad division to be pitching in. I mean, he's going to get run support up the ass, so there's going to be win potential there, but he could kill your whip. He could probably kill your ERA.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's a streamer, honestly. I would probably not draft him out unless I haven't looked at the early season schedule for Toronto. So maybe unless they start with the Orioles or something like that, I would not draft Kikuchi.
I would draft him, but he'd have to fall to a place where I'd, where I can afford to take a chance on him, and I feel like he's still not going as late as I thought he would go.
Yeah, I've been a big Kikuchi guy in the past. Hey, they've got a opening series versus Texas, which he will probably not be getting a start from. This is going to be their fifth starter.
Right.
And so it's at the Yankees, likely his first start of the year. So I'm not drafting Kikuchi.
Wait, I thought you just said Texas. Wait, what did you say?
Yeah, but he's not a top 3 starter.
Oh! The second series against the Yankees.
Yes, okay, the second series is at the Yankees.
That's a pass on that, yeah.
And then let's see his second series. Oh, I don't know what just happened.
We can't see your screen, so we don't either.
Yeah. All right. So first series first matchup is against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the Red Sox. And then home versus the Red Sox.
If his first several starts are unusable, then that's
versus the Astros.
Okay, so not great.
Yeah, don't draft Kikuchi.
You know what your situation with your video looks like right now? Are you a Seinfeld fan?
Not really. I mean, I've watched a lot of the episodes. My dad was a big Seinfeld guy growing up.
There's an episode where Kramer, in his room, there's like a chicken place opens up, and just bright red light coming in, and he like can't sleep, and so he's always, his eyes are just like bugged out all the time. And then Jerry goes over there, and Jerry turns into Kramer while he's staying in Kramer's house, and then Kramer's all laid back because he doesn't have that red light constantly in his apartment.
Yeah, that is a good episode. For some reason, I, with everything going on in the Ukraine, every time someone talks about the Ukraine, I think about the Risk game between Newman and Kramer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it ends with the Ukrainians smashing the board. So, as a person of Ukrainian descent, I love that scene.
Okay.
So, definitely in support of the Ukraine. Go baby.
Oh yeah, I saw the flag on your Twitter. I mean, all of us should be supporting Ukraine. They're just getting attacked for no reason. So
they're kicking ass, though, man. Hope they continue to. Kurt Suzuki goes to the Angels. Do you care?
Not really. I think he'll probably end up getting more playing time than a shittier catcher would. So I think if anything, it just takes away a little bit of at bats from Stassi.
It also takes away the possibility that Matt Thace gets catcher eligibility, which was a late DC pick for me.
Right.
So that's kind of a bummer. So, but other than that, don't really care.
Yep.
Lucas Sims is a little behind due to an elbow issue.
Where's my red flag? I throw the red flags everywhere, man. That's
shocking.
I mean, he was already someone I had no interest in drafting because people were drafting him like he was a closer, and it's like, why? What are you basing this on? Just the fact that Roster Resource has him listed as closer on their chart? Like, again, this is. And, Jason is very great. Like, Roster Resource is amazing. It's really, really good in season 2. It's probably the most valuable tool. If I had to pick one tool, that's the one I want to be using in season. Like, their lineup tracker is amazing. But again, just remember, this is one guy's opinion. So when you see someone listed as closer, that doesn't mean that he's actually the closer. That's just Jason's best guess. And very often I disagree with him. So don't take it as, okay, this is what it is. No, this is just an opinion. So Sims is going way too high, bottom line. And so now, I mean, he went from a fade for me to a do not draft. I mean, elbow issues that never ends well.
Yeah, no. I mean, he hadn't had a save since June 16th. I've been saying this all off season.
Yeah.
And people have been drafting Lucas Sims. I'm like, he wasn't the closer when he was on the team last year. Like they went committee, and even when they were going committee, they weren't going to him.
Well, the guy that they were going to left, so I think that people were just assuming that because he was kind of like one of their higher leverage guys, because they who was it again?
Michael Givens.
Yeah, Givens. Yeah, he left. So, but no, it was always just an assumption that people were making that was never correct.
Yeah. Do you think there is a guy in Cincinnati, or is it a committee?
I mean, they listed a bunch of guys. I saw someone reported something, and I saw like Amir Garrett and Luis Sessa and Santillan. I didn't see Art Warren's name on there, and he's still the guy who I think fits the best as their closer. So
yeah, spoiler alert, you and I both drafted him
yes.
on Saturday.
Yeah, and so this news came out before our draft, and so I bumped Warren up another couple rounds. Like I think I took him in like the 25th or 26th instead of the 29th or 30th. So
I took him in the 29th.
I'm going to keep drafting Art Warren. I still think he has the stuff to close, and I just don't see anybody else.
And I think we'll know pretty quickly. So like,
easy drop,
easy drop for a streamer or for another safe spec if it doesn't work out. He was my 4th relief pitcher that I took in that draft.
I think it's my 3rd.
So I'd obviously I'm going to be dropping Finnegan probably. So
yeah, that's the whole point. Like if you're speculating on your closer too, you're taking. I always take at least three shots late in the draft, and then like you said, if you're going to know probably in the first week or two, and then you can drop them if they're not the closer. It's an easy drop. You pick someone else up, no big deal.
Yep. This is one that broke during our draft. Jose Iglesias signed a deal with the Rockies, and we were all kind of laughing about it, but I don't know that we should necessarily be laughing about it. Jose Iglesias has pretty damn good bat-to-ball skills. There's not much power.
Right.
But he's going from 2 teams last year that were in the bottom third of the league in stolen base attempts to a team who is middle of the pack in the Rockies, who's going to be really, really bad this year. You get extra kind of help in the BABIP department being in Colorado to begin with because the outfield is so large. Jose Iglesias is a legit batting title contender in the NL in Colorado.
Yeah. As crazy as that is to say, I've always liked Jose Iglesias. He's the kind of guy who I picked up probably like 6 or 7 times throughout the season last year. Like when he has a really good upcoming schedule, and he's going to have that a lot in Colorado. In DC's, he's now a target for me. Like, and also, you know, Roster Resource has Raimel Tapia leading off. That ain't happening. They don't even want Tapia to start. There's no chance he hits leadoff for them. No chance. So I think there's much more likely that a guy like Iglesias hits leadoff, for example. Like you said, he's got elite bat-to-ball skills, and now he's in the park that that ups your BABIP more than any other park. So yeah, I like it. It's not a guy that I want to
defender too. He's going to play every day.
Yeah. I don't love it in like a fab league. I don't know what the upside is, but I mean, he's kind of like JP Crawford-esque, I would say. He's kind of, you know, he'll give you, I think, a good average, better average than him though, with a bunch of runs, kind of.
Matt Davis made kind of, I don't know if it was a joke or I think he was like half serious, half joking. He goes, "What's the difference between Jose Iglesias and Nick Madrigal?"
I would rather have Iglesias, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, Iglesias isn't coming off a hamstring injury.
Yeah, no, but Madrigal's also going to hit the bottom of the lineup. I think Iglesias has the ability to hit at the top of this lineup because they don't have any obvious. They could hit Connor Joe lead off, actually. It'll probably be Joe or Iglesias.
If they sign Chris Bryant, I don't know, Connor Joe's playing. And there's a lot of talk today that they're going to sign, that they're going hard after Chris Bryant because, yeah, I don't know where you play Connor Joe then.
Yeah, because you've got no, but I think Tapia doesn't play. I think Tapia is the guy who gets cut out of that. Yeah, and Hampson, I think I've never liked Hampson because they never play that guy regularly. So I think that if they sign Bryant, it's Bryant, Rogers, Blackman, Crone, McMahon, Connor Joe, Sam Hilliard, Elias Diaz, and Jose Iglesias as the starters. And I think Hampson, Tapia are on the bench.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Connor Joe's on the bench. I mean, I think he'll play a little bit, but
I'll take that bet. I know that they don't like Tapia.
I mean, but Tapia's out of options. So is Jonathan Diaz.
I think they're going to get rid of Tapia, frankly.
They could. But
we'll see. We'll see. I'm still. I hope
they also may not sign Chris Bryant. This is not an organization's been willing to spend. So
that's true. But what the fuck are they doing? Like, so they're signing these veterans.
They don't know.
Are they trying to be competitive now with that rotation, which starts with German Marquez and goes to Chad Kuhl and Austin Gomber and Antonio Senzatela and Kyle Freeland, and like they're not going anywhere. What are we doing?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
it almost seems like all these teams are just trying to make it appear like they're contending without actually trying to contend. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, I guess Chris Bryant would be a draw, but
right. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to help them contend. But
I don't know how you even pretend like you're trying to compete when you traded away the face of your franchise in Arenado and just let Trevor Story walk out the door, let John Gray walk out the door. I don't know how you pretend like you're trying.
How does that GM keep his job? O'Dowd, is it still?
Yeah. They got rid of their analytics guy, and someone on Twitter jokingly said, like, oh, he must have figured out a way to win.
Was it a joke?
I don't know. Chris Bassett gets traded to the Mets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been talk that every A of value could be traded at some point. I didn't know that Chris Bassett was going to be the first of the group. But of all the places he could have gotten traded, I think the Mets was probably the best. It's a great park. It's not a bad division. Yeah. It's a pretty good offense behind him.
Yep.
A defense that's gotten better behind him. Yep. I mean, I love Chris Bassett to the Mets. What about you?
Yeah, and this actually broke right after I had picked Chris Bassett in Glarf.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Dalton Del Don had just picked Chris Bassett, and this broke as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did not have you guys started an hour before us, so but I did not have that information when I took him. I took him, knowing that he was on the A's, but also kind of being aware that he was going to get traded. But yeah, I love it for him. And a lot of people were then like, oh, well, shit, Tyler McGill's screwed now. But you have to remember, they have Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, and Taijuan Walker. We just found out Taijuan Walker had a setback. So I think that you should be taking advantage of McGill's upcoming price depression, because I very much think with those three guys and Max Scherzer even, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in that rotation for McGill still.
I would not be surprised, too, if they go 6-man rotation.
They could. But do you see, like, while quote unquote healthy, DeGrom and Scherzer, do you think that they're going to be okay going every 6 days? Like Scherzer, they could do like a modified where.
Yeah. I think Scherzer and DeGrom probably, but I also think they're going to skip those guys every once in a while, or maybe push them back just to give them extra time, especially DeGrom.
Yeah, they should with DeGrom, but they didn't last year. They had the opportunity to finally, give him rest when he needed it, and he kept.
Do you feel any better about the reports coming out on DeGrom?
No, zero.
I don't either. I mean, I obviously still would take him above where you would take him, but
that's not saying much.
Yeah, that's not saying much, right? Because you wouldn't take him in the first 3 or 4 rounds, right? He went in the 4th round of Glarf.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Jenny took him in the 4th round. Was it the beginning or end of the 4th? It was kind of the middle-ish of 4th. She's picked 10, so he fell further in our draft than he's fallen in most drafts, which is kind of surprising. I was shocked that as many people were kind of on my wavelength with that. But yeah, I mean, there was still rounds of pitchers before I would take him. I mean, it'd be at least the 8th round before I would be considering him.
Yeah, he went in the 2nd round of my draft.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If he makes it through spring training and he's
going to be a first rounder.
Yeah, not even first round. He's going to go top 5. I mean,
you and I are going to be in Vegas in less than 2 weeks.
Right.
In the first main, where do you think he goes?
If he makes it, if he's not,
if nothing happens between now and no injuries between now and then.
Yeah. Well, now you got to take Tatis out of the picture. So 1, 2,
and Acuna.
Yeah. Again, top 5. I think he goes. I mean, I think he could go anywhere between pick 1 and 5 overall. Yeah.
I would not take him that high. I'm not taking him in the 1st round.
Right. I wouldn't either, but that's the thing, right? I mean, if you think he's healthy and if you're taking him in the first round, you obviously think he's healthy. Why wouldn't he be a top 5 pick? Because he's the best player in baseball if he's healthy.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to be going where he's going. Like, either he should be going way earlier or way later. It's right now he's where he's going is a hedge. So come live events, that's not going to be the case. There will always be someone in these big drafts who's going to be willing to take him. He's not going to make it outside the first round. And I don't even think you can get him in the late first, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. No,
we'll see if I'm right, but I'm pretty sure based on
I won't be drafting him there.
Several years of seeing how this goes. But yeah, no, he's off my board.
Nico Goodrum signs a deal with the Astros. Do you care?
I think it's just probably I think that they're at this point they're kind of committed to Pena, and I think this is kind of like just a hedge backup plan kind of thing where they're just
I think Correa still ends up there.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He could. In which case they just send Pena down to the minors and then Goodrum's just a utility guy. So either way, not a lot of interest in Goodrum.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a super utility guy.
Could be.
Which will have, guys get hurt, especially on the Astros, right? So, right. I mean, Bregman, injury risk. Correa, if he comes back, injury risk. Brantley, injury risk.
But they also have Aledmus Diaz, who was the exact same role. I mean,
but he got injured too last year.
True. Yeah.
So, I think this is depth. I don't think it's anything more than that. So,
yeah.
If Correa does not resign and they don't pick up a Story or some other shortstop, then my guess is Pena is defensively Pena is going to be the better shortstop. So I think even if Correa doesn't resign there or they don't bring someone else in, I think Goodrum is still a super utility guy and kind of a backup for a lot of their injury prone guys.
Yep.
Alex Colomé, the aforementioned Alex Colomé to the Rockies. You drafted him.
I did. Yeah.
So this is scary, right? I mean, this is like the worst possible landing spot for him to land with a job. And honestly, it's a worse landing spot than if he had landed somewhere as a setup guy. Because at least a setup guy you could just ignore setup all Alex Colomé. Like, this is a guy who, like, the underlying metrics have not been good his entire career, but he's been good until last season.
Right.
I just see this going so poorly.
It certainly has the ability to. If you look at his projections, though, there's still some people who have him under a 4 ERA projection. So I guess it just depends on whether what we saw last year is the new norm for him. His velo needs to be over 94. I mean, when he was at 95, he was good. When he was at 94, he was still pretty good too. Then he dipped down to 93.7 on his fastball last year, and that was where the issues started happening. But I don't know. We'll have to see how he looks in spring training and everything. But he's clearly the front runner for that job in Colorado right now. And while that could be a bad thing, I still drafted him because if he's a closer and I need early season saves until I find a better option, I also drafted Art Warren and Hector Neris. So if either one of them get the role, then I don't have to play Colomé. So, it's just a hedge. It's a guy that I can use as an option. And you can also play him when he has away games those weeks. And then other weeks you could, start an extra starter or something instead. So, I took him in round like 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not drafting. I've drafted him in a couple DCs before he signed. But I'm not drafting him again. This is like, this is not, I don't think it's going to end well. I hope I'm wrong. I like Alex Colomé, and he, burned me hard last year, but that's not why. It's I don't want pitchers in Colorado.
Understandable.
Zach Wheeler is a little behind because of a shoulder issue that popped up in December. He did pitch today. Said feels fine. It sounds like he's probably not going to be ready for opening day, but that he should be ready shortly after that. I freaked out. He's my most rostered starter.
Oh,
he was.
I liked him.
A huge target for me in the second round because I had him as number 3 starting pitcher. I dropped him all the way to 16 after the news came out. I've bumped him back up to 9. But I'm very nervous about it. I don't know if I'll keep him at 9. It may, because 9 means I'm taking him in the second round.
Yeah. I just, anytime I see something with this and I don't have enough information, I just pivot to other guys. I mean, like, I don't. He could be okay, but I want to wait until he's gotten through spring training but I don't even know how much is he going to pitch in spring training. If he's behind, how much of him am I going to see? This could end up being nothing, but it could end up being something larger. We've seen that happen a lot too, where they say, okay, looks like he's going to be fine, and then he's not fine. So right now, I'm not drafting him, to be honest with you. But I'm not saying that it is not like DeGrom. This is not a situation where I'm that concerned. If you've already drafted him, definitely hold him and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm just going a different direction right now.
Yeah, the hard part is, I think it was Rob Silver was mentioning this, like, he's not a guy with an elite strikeout rate, so he needs all of those innings. Like, he's a workhorse. Like, he needs all those innings to compile all those strikeouts along with his amazing ratios. And so if he's going to miss 1 or 2 starts, that obviously hurts him.
Sure.
That being said, like, this happened before too with him. I can't remember if it was last year or 2020, where he was slow to start the season because of an issue, and then was fantastic. Well,
2018 he had 29 starts, 2019 31 starts, 2020 11 starts. I don't he hasn't missed a lot since 2018. I think he has the most innings in baseball since 2018.
Yeah, but it might have been 2020 where, like, he had some sort of shoulder or some sort of issue, and like, oh, he's not going to start the season, but he's going to.
Do you remember what the first date of the first game in 2020 was? Because like July 25th was his first start, but he went 7 innings, so he wasn't slow starting then.
Yeah, I think it was the 21st. I want to say.
Okay, so maybe they just moved him back.
Yeah, so maybe this may be something similar to that, but I'm definitely uneasy about it.
Yeah, I would say you should be.
And the hard part is, who do I move him in? Who do I move in front of him?
That's why I don't do ranks, because there's like it's not always an apples to apples situation. It's like, well, this guy has a really good strikeout rate. This guy has a better ground ball rate. This guy's more volatile. This guy has injury issues. Like, everybody has different risks and red flags.
Well, and that's the problem with ranks.
Compare them all.
Some people look at ranks. Like, I had someone jump in my DMs yesterday, I think it was. And he's like, well, he goes, I like your ranks, all that good stuff. Where are your overall ranks? I'm like, you shouldn't use overall ranks.
I don't think you should use ranks, period, outside of closers, if we're being honest.
I mean, you should have some sort of draft list, right? You don't just draft off the top of your head.
I've never done ranks. Never once, other than closers.
Okay, but the only thing what do you use when you're drafting?
I separate the pool into targets, fades, cross-off guys,
position?
And by position. And what I do is,
do you have guys who you like more than others at the top?
Well,
or are they they alphabetical? Then you're doing ranks. Like, those are ranks.
It's not ranks though. Like,
you're not sticking to them like literally. Some people stick to them literally, but like that's a ranking list. You have them in order of your preference.
It's a chart where I put on one side my pick numbers, and on the top I put all the positions, and then I have my targets at different points in the draft. But okay,
it's not a traditional ranking.
That's not what I would call a ranking. But like, my point is, you could have 2 guys at the same position who do 2 very different things, right? And depends on which guy fits my team better, depending on which guy I go with. So I don't do
on your list. You're not going to have Alex Bregman above Rafael Devers, right?
Right.
So they're ranked in order of your preference.
No, they're not in order. They're just where they go by ADP, and then I just in my mind move them up or down depending on how the draft's going and stuff like that.
I would argue that's pretty much a ranking. But anyways,
all right.
Obviously when I do rankings, they're much more literal.
But yours are like 1 through 50. Okay, here's my.
But I also don't tell people. Like, I also don't want people to just go in that order, right? Like, you should be using common sense. Like, hey, this guy, I need speed right now, so I'm not going to take Kyle Schwarber above, I don't know, Trent Grisham. I'm just saying random names.
Yeah.
Because Trent Grisham would fit my team better right now. You should use common sense, right? And this is why I don't do overall ranks, because I think when people look at overall ranks, they go, well, I'm just going to pick this guy, this guy, this guy in order. And then you get the end of your draft and you go, holy crap, I haven't taken a third baseman.
Right.
Like, or I have 0 speed or 0 this. And I think that's just a bad way of doing it. So, but I don't even know what we were talking
about. Zach Wheeler, you're saying
Zach Wheeler
SP9. I mean, that's still far too aggressive for me right now. Like, he could end up being a great get at that point if everything's okay. But when I don't know, I just go a different direction. Like,
so you would, for instance, I've got Zach Wheeler ahead of Aaron Nola, Sandy Alcantara, Chris Sale right now. You take all 3 of those guys over Zach Wheeler?
I have other concerns with Nola, but I would definitely take Sale and Alcantara over him. Yes.
Okay.
I think Alcantara is extremely similar to Zach Wheeler. Like, the only difference really that I see between them is that Wheeler's done it for longer and he's on a better team, which those matter. Yeah. But I believe in the changes that Alcantara made to his profile, but they profile very, very similarly with their velocity, their workhorses and everything. Like, they both go deep into games. They're very, very similar pitchers. So I would just rather take the guys that I know are healthy coming in.
I don't think that's unfair. Moving on, they're here. We got a few transactions that people aren't really going to care about, so we'll blow through them real quick. Jake Diekman to the Red Sox. You care?
I don't know. Is there any possibility that he gets saves there? Probably not right away, but
I think they bring someone in.
He might be a decent. Wow, Roster Resource has Garrett Whitlock as their closer projected. That's interesting.
Well, and he's stretching out.
Yeah, I think Barnes is definitely the favorite.
I think whoever is the closer is not on this team yet.
That could be too. I think Diekman's interesting as a DC pick. I'm probably not interested in him anywhere else.
Like, I think there's a legit shot that Kenley Jansen signs in Boston.
Okay, I could see it.
So,
or Kimbrell. Kimbrell's pitched for them before.
I don't think they're trading back for him though.
No, okay.
I don't think so, but they could.
I have no idea.
Hanser Alberto signs with the Dodgers. Do you care?
No,
me neither. Joe Ross is out 6 to 8 weeks. Do you care?
No,
I don't either. Sonny Gray is traded to the Twins. Do you care?
Yeah, and I really, really liked it for him until they ended up with Gary Sanchez as their catcher, and that sucks. But it's not Great American Ballpark, so that's still, I think, probably a net positive. And you just hope that he
defense is better behind him too.
Right, and you just hope that on those days that he gets Jeffers instead of Sanchez, it'll be good. But yeah, I mean it's interesting too because it opens up opportunities in the Reds, and I've heard the Reds talking about Hunter Green getting in the rotation there.
Yeah, I don't know if Hunter Green's. I mean, he won't start with a team. Obviously, they're going to play service time games. And
do we know that what's the collective bargaining agreement? What does that say?
It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was. I don't think there was any change to that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure that didn't change. So,
I did not keep up with that shit at all, so I literally don't know what's going on. So wait, does that mean that like Bobby Witt, for example, is not starting with the Royals?
No, he's not starting. I don't think he's starting with the Royals either.
Oh boy, all those people taking those early shots on him. Wow.
I don't have a problem with that though. Do you?
Okay.
You have a problem with that?
If I know he's not up for a month or two, I don't.
Oh, he'll be up like by the end of end of April, early May.
So a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's significant.
It is, but I mean, if that's your only stash, like he could legit be a 2020 guy.
Right. He could be.
And he's going to get third base eligibility in season.
Do guys always start well when coming up from the minors?
No, I think there's obviously a risk. But the fact that he could get third base eligibility in season, with how bad that third base pool is, I'm kind of coming around to the idea. I haven't drafted him.
Okay.
But
I'm staying off still. I think he would have been interesting if he was starting up with the team, but
he still could. The Royals have been aggressive in the past.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But there's no there's no incentive for them to bring him up,
other than just that they're trying to compete to win now. Yeah.
Which I don't know that they're ready to do that anyway. So
yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I don't think they have the pitching yet.
But yeah, I mean, well, either way, I guess, like Reaver San Martin is another guy who could get a bump in Cincy. Justin Dunn might be in the rotation.
I think he will be in the rotation.
Yeah, which is
going to be a nightmare. It's like the worst possible landing spot for him.
Yeah. He is a 51% fly ball rate last year, so that's real bad
in Seattle. So I mean, since like I said, Great America Small Park, that is not going to end well for Justin Dunn.
No.
Cincinnati is a mess. I mean, we'll talk about another or we're going to talk about the Eugenio Suarez trade you kind of just alluded to with Justin Dunn coming over, but Cincinnati,
we can do that. We can do that now. We can move.
Let's do it now.
All right.
So, but I like Sonny Gray. I've moved him up my ranks. I think this is a really good landing spot for him. A really good outfield defense. A much better park. Infield defense behind him improved as well because you don't have Kyle Farmer and Eugenio Suarez behind you. So, I like this for Sonny Gray. So just wrap that up. And so let's talk about this. Yeah, we had Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker get traded to the Mariners. And in return,
why did you just cut it? Just put it in there.
Oh, because I didn't realize you had moved it up. In return, they get Justin Dunn, Jake Fraley, and Brandon Williamson. Both Dunn and Williamson likely to be in the rotation right away, if not pretty damn close for Williamson. Dunn should be in the rotation right away. This is obviously great for Jake Fraley, who might have a legit shot at some real playing time in a better ballpark. It's kind of a negative for everybody else involved, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely Suarez and Winker, huge power downgrade for both of them. Going from the number one home run park in baseball to, I think, the worst home run park in baseball.
I think it is, yeah.
Let me check just to make sure.
I don't think it's as big of an issue for Suarez. Because I think his power kind of plays everywhere.
Right.
I mean, he may get robbed of a few.
I guess the Mariners Park was actually for both sides. It was actually closer to even. It was actually played somewhat neutral, but it was definitely, they went from the best park in baseball. So it's 130 park factor down to a 98 park factor, which is still a monster difference. So
yeah. I'm definitely worried about this for Winker. This is not a good landing spot for Winker.
I guess the only hope for him is he may be less likely to be platooned in Seattle because he was getting some platoon work in Cincy. I don't know if they, in Seattle, is there anybody that they're going to be? I mean, Dylan Moore will get some playing time, but I don't know that he would be replacing Winker. He'd probably be replacing Kalenic over Winker, I would imagine.
I mean, Kyle Lewis, I know, and we're talking. We'll add him to this too.
Yeah.
Because there's a report that he's in really good shape, that he's healthy, but he is not going to start the season on time because they're going to take it easy with him. But at some point, he's going to be on this team. Where does he play? Like, this is just turned into Cincinnati for the last 2 years has been a huge clusterfuck in terms of trying to figure out who's playing when.
Yeah.
Especially last year. Now Seattle's going to be that way, right?
Right.
One, I think for those of you who are drafting Jared Kalenic, he has to hit. Yeah, I know he improved in the second half last year, but he didn't improve a ton. He could easily get sent down if he starts off the season slow.
I don't think people are factoring in the fact that he could easily get sent back down. I think everybody just assumes that once you're up, but not with how he's hit so far. They could
not with this team clearly wanting to compete.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they brought in, Robbie Ray, and I mean, they've, traded for, Adam Frazier. I know not a huge name, but now Winker and Suarez. They're clearly going for it. So if Kalenic's not producing, then they can easily replace him.
Yeah. This has become a much more crowded situation.
Mm-hmm. Abraham Toro's situation looks a lot sketchier now.
Yeah, I think he'll still play pretty close to every day. But he's definitely at risk for sure. Adam Frazier's situation, who knows? Like, Adam Frazier was awful once he got traded to Seattle.
Yeah.
So like Adam Frazier could easily hit the bench and become a super utility guy too. Like
Toro is really bad versus lefties. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep playing versus lefties. I think he's at best a platoon versus righties, which is still a strong side platoon.
Yeah,
but
exactly. So, and multi-position eligible. So, and he's going super late. There's also like super small sample with Toro versus lefties. Like I don't know if he's had a chance to prove himself
That's
yet,
fair.
but he may not get a chance.
Right.
I mean, this is a loaded team. This is a really good team. So
yeah, it is. Now, what do you think about Fraley and Cincy?
I mean, what does roster resource have him? I'm checking right now. They've got him as strong side platoon. He could be really interesting.
His hard hit rate is so low. He doesn't barrel a lot of balls. His contact rate isn't great. His zone contact rate is really bad. He does steal bases though, and he'll hit some homers.
And since he likes to run,
I just think that his average might preclude him from being useful. Like I think he's likely to hit for such a bad average that those homers and steals won't play as much. And I think he'll lose playing time as a result. He's probably still a guy I don't draft, but if he goes late enough in like a DC, I could see taking him.
I mean, his XBA was 230 last year. He hits 230 with what's left on that team. He probably plays at least strong side platoon.
Maybe. Yeah, I will have to see what's left on that team, but there's not a lot there. So
this is a good question for you. Why does Ohio not want to spend money on baseball?
Because nobody wants to come here.
I actually thought about this earlier today. I was like, this sucks for the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
You got two really good fan bases that really love baseball, and neither will spend money. Like, just unreal.
Trust me, if you don't know my thoughts on this, try listening to High Stakes Heat sometime. Jake and I bitch about it constantly. So, while we're seeing all these other teams adding, superstars and stuff like that, you look at fucking Seattle. Does anybody even care about baseball in Seattle?
The Twins are making moves.
I know, and then, the Guardians, and I see, they got some throw-in minor league depth catcher. Awesome. And we add that to our list of, didn't we add another catcher earlier? Backup catcher? Luke Mail. Yeah, we got Luke Mail. So, the Guardians are setting the MLB on fire with their moves this offseason so far.
What do you think about Kyle Lewis? I think you were someone who mentioned you'd be targeting him.
No,
someone did. Maybe it was someone else. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into Kyle Lewis at all.
I drafted him in TGFBI late because I needed some late power. The reports were really good that he was healthy finally and looked like he was going to be ready for opening day. This new report makes me feel like maybe I should drop him. We'll see. I mean, we'll have time before the first waiver run, but I likely am not going to draft him again.
He's not a guy I would hold on to. I think he's waiver fodder, even in 15s. I think he's I just don't think he's that great, and I don't think the opportunity to play every day on that team is going to be there either.
Mm-hmm. The Orioles GM says DL Hall could be up quickly. Are you interested?
I don't know enough about DL Hall, if we're being honest. Like, I just saw that news and I threw it on there because I know he's like a top prospect type guy. Obviously, we know that the Orioles rotation is ass, so the opportunity will clearly be there. But it's interesting that they're already talking about him. Like, I don't think he'll start with the team. I think he'll be down until at least May. But maybe that's the time where they bring him up. I see he only got 7 starts at AA last year, so he didn't even make it to AAA yet.
I'd be really surprised if he's up before June. But
he's got a massive strikeout rate, but he doesn't have good control. And in the AL East, I mean, we see rookie pitchers struggle all the time. Even Logan Gilbert, who I thought was pretty polished, struggled quite a bit for most of last year. I don't think DL Hall will be a pick that ends up doing much for you this year, but Maybe like down the stretch, if you can use him as a spot starter streaming versus some weaker offenses, you could use him there. But overall, not really interested.
Yeah, elite fastball, plus changeup, plus curveball. Command or control has not been there. Command's okay, but control has not been there. That could be a problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, the stuff is electric. I'm surprised the Orioles have said that he could be up early. But I assume he's going to start the year in AAA, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But we also have seen teams go, why even subject our top tier pitchers to AAA, because they're typically such, homer friendly environments. So maybe they just decide, hey, you're going to go back to AA, and then you're going to jump straight to the majors. Once the that kind of
could happen.
That barrier of getting the extra year service time passes. So I mean, I'm not drafting him anywhere. He's definitely a guy that I'd be interested to see kind of Fabapalooza wise, but I'm not always a big fan of investing a ton of money in pitchers coming up for the first time in season, especially on the Orioles.
Yeah, there's too many things working against him. The control, the Orioles, he's a rookie. He hasn't gotten to AAA yet. I just don't think that if he becomes a fantasy asset, it'll be next year, I would say, at the earliest.
The big move of today was Matt Olson being traded for a haul. I mean, the top two prospects in the Braves system plus two other prospects go over to the Athletics. The Braves get Matt Olson, who's, I guess, originally from Georgia. So he is a hometown kid. Interesting, because they were apparently still in on Freddie Freeman up until they made the deal, and they did not give Freddie Freeman or Freddie Freeman's agent a heads up that they were making this deal. So they learned about it in the press.
Wow. That's kind of crazy, because it seemed like Freddie Freeman's such a good guy and such a big part of their organization. Like, did things deteriorate on a relationship?
I think they just didn't want to give him a 5-year or 6-year deal,
which is weird too. Like, why?
I don't think Freddie Freeman's going to age that poorly.
No, I think he's going to be very good for a long time.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all, honestly. You just empty out your farm. I mean, Matt Olson's great. I think Matt Olson will be great. I think it's a great move for him.
Right.
His draft value is going to go up. I'm not going to draft him because I'm not going to take a first baseman in the second round or the third round.
Right.
Other than Freddie Freeman, But I think it's fantastic for him. Great. But I do not understand what the Braves. That's a face-here franchise.
Yeah, I feel like there's more to the story that we don't know.
Maybe they're just being cheap,
or maybe the Braves, like I didn't look at the prospect. I heard it was quite a haul, but maybe sometimes organizations know their own players better than other organizations do. Obviously,
yeah. I mean, because Christian Pache
didn't like the guys. Maybe they felt like the guys that they traded in this deal were overrated. Like they felt like they were getting much more value with Matt Olson than they were giving up. I don't know.
I think that the Braves did fine in terms of like the prospects they gave up. The pitching prospects are interesting, but pitching prospects are pitching prospects, right? Like they can, in an instant be done. Christian Pache is completely overrated. I think he's a great defender.
Yeah.
He cannot hit.
And they've got Drew Waters there, and Acuna can play center too. So I don't know if that they needed.
Well, can Acuna play center now?
No, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know that he can run.
Well, not by now. I meant like over the next 10 years, not today.
Yeah, but I mean this season.
Yeah, no, probably.
Are they going to put Acuna in center this season?
They shouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I'm not saying that they should. I don't know that they will. We'll see.
Yeah. I didn't get this move for them. Like I mean, not that I got the move.
Yeah.
I didn't get why they weren't bringing Freddie Freeman. Now, I did mention this. I think it is a extreme long shot, but because the DH is in the National League, theoretically they could bring back Freddie Freeman still if they were willing to play Ozuna in the outfield.
Yeah. What do they even want to bring Ozuna? Like, have they made any statements on Ozuna?
Yeah, he's on the team.
Okay, so there's no Bauer situation there or anything.
No.
Okay.
No, he's fine. So,
okay.
But I mean, if they were willing to play Ozuna in the outfield, they theoretically could bring back Freddie Freeman. I don't think they will. I think
that's two like first basemen who can both play defense really well.
Yeah. Maybe they tried put Olsen in the outfield. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know about that. Did Olsen come up as a third baseman? I mean,
Freeman played third, but that didn't go well.
No, I don't see that. Here's what I think happened. If I had to guess, I would guess that they're talking to Freeman, and he kept like kind of playing them against each other with the Dodgers and the that they're like, okay, well, we're just not going to go up any higher. And maybe the A's give them an ultimatum, like, we're not going to wait for you to figure out what's going on with Freeman. This is the deal now. We're going to up the price if you say no now and then come back to us later.
I think that's probably exactly what happened. I think Freeman's holding out for that either 5th or 6th year. And J-Hook says MLB announces there will be 2 first bases on the diamond. Freddie Freeman. I like that.
That's a good one.
So yeah, that was funny. I think Freddie Freeman is holding out for one more year than Atlanta was willing to give. Yeah, and I think probably Oakland put some pressure on. Hey, listen, we're trying. Look, we just traded Chris Bassett. We're trying to trade Trapman and Manaea. And Olsen, Olsen, obviously, like we're not going to wait around for you. The Yankees are interested. Other teams have expressed interest. So here's the deal, take it or leave it. And they probably said, listen, let's take it. Would save us money.
Because there's no guarantee that Freeman comes back to them. Like he could leave them for the Dodgers.
Such a team-friendly deal on Albies and Acuna. I can't believe that they couldn't spend that extra money that they saved on those guys for a guy like Freddie Freeman. Like, it just, to me, makes zero sense.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of rumors about where Freeman ends up. Toronto apparently has been a big rumor today. The Dodgers have been a huge rumor the entire time. So
now, why would he be rumored to the Dodgers? Because Max Muncy is perfectly healthy, right?
I think the Dodgers just want to add.
Sure, but I mean, they don't have a healthy first baseman, so it makes sense.
Well, I mean, Muncy probably becomes the DH then, right?
I mean, if he can even play.
I mean, the Dodgers were in on Nelson Cruz.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they well, oh, wow. Okay, well, if Nelson Cruz went there, then where would Muncy play?
J-Hook is just killing it in the chat tonight. Breaking news, Oakland trades Stomper to the Dodgers for Max Muncy so they can have double Max Muncy. J-Hook's just crushing it tonight.
Dude's funny.
He was in my TGFBI league. Good player.
Oh, was he?
I think he won the league last year, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? What's his actual name?
Joe Lowry.
Okay.
Prospects Live.
Gotcha. Okay.
Big trading card guy. I feel like if you're into baseball trading cards. So definitely go.
I bet Jake knows all about that because Jake's really into
go follow him on Twitter, especially if you're into prospects or trading cards or just in general. Because like I said, he's fun.
I mean, he's always interacted with us on the show, and I mean, I know we've talked on Twitter before. I just didn't know what his actual name was. Yeah. I never know this stuff, so sorry, J-Hook.
Hopefully I wasn't. Hopefully I was allowed to say what his name was. But
we can always bleep it out later if we need to.
I'm not going to do that.
I know. I just want to make him feel better in the moment.
Ian Kennedy to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
well, that sucks.
That's a bummer. It's a big bummer.
Yeah. I think everybody was like speculating on Kennedy as a guy who could. I made the bold prediction a few weeks ago. Ian Kennedy leads the Cardinals in saves.
Yep.
Not going to be leading anybody in saves now.
No, probably not. I mean, Melanson does not have a profile that ages well. He's 37, although Kennedy's 37 too. But I do think that Kennedy's the better pitcher, and it's possible he takes over at some point. But I definitely think Melanson starts for the job. So, I mean, they're paying Melanson to close, whereas Kennedy only got like 2.5 mil, I think, something like that.
Really?
I think it was real low. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely next in line. It's not a terrible like late spec pick, but. He was going around like round 21.
Kennedy got 4.75.
Oh, why did I thought I saw 2.5. Okay. Still, I think pretty significantly less than what Melanson's making, right?
I think so. I think Melanson's like getting
8 mil or something. Yeah. Regardless, I think Kennedy, if he falls in a DC, I'd take him, but I'm not starting with him in any fab leagues because
Melanson got a 2-year, $14 million deal.
Oh, okay. So $7 million a year. Yeah. Yeah, I still think it's Melanson. But Kennedy, it's a possibility that he takes over at some point, but I wouldn't bother drafting him in fab anymore.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. Odubel Herrera goes back to the Phillies. Do we care?
I mean, he's starting there right now, right?
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
I think as of now, I mean, I can't imagine this is what the Phillies run into with the season.
I was talking to Ryan from the Roto Brits show, Ryan Owen, and he was talking about how they've got Vierling, Hazley, and Moniak projected to start, and I said, "There's no way. they're definitely adding.
They've got to bring a couple guys.
I said they're going to bring in 2 or 3 starters there. There's zero chance that the Phillies are going into the season with those 3 starting. So I think Odubel is going to start in center for them, at least platoon. I can't remember if he sucks versus lefties. Like they could end up like putting Luke Williams in for him or something like that. But I mean, do I care? A little bit. I mean, I probably won't be targeting him in fab leagues, but as a DC option, I like it. I think he's not a terrible player. So at least as a hitter.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if he's like a starter, yeah.
Actually, I just think they're pretty decently. He might end up just playing every day there.
I feel like they're gonna bring in like 2 more guys. Like I feel like this cannot be the way they enter this. This is a team with designs on winning a World Series, right? And it's Dombrowski. Like of all the like general managers, a guy who loves to trade away prospects for guys to help him win now. Like I would be so surprised if this is the team they head into like I still think this is one of the most logical spots for Trevor Story. Though they did say today that is an open competition between Didi Gregorius and Bryson Stott.
Yeah.
Our buddy Rob DiPietro's boy.
Oh, I mean, we've for a long time they mentioned Stott. The Phillies specifically said like he's going to get his chance to play, and I mean he's always been a good speculative shortstop late in the draft to just take a shot on to see if he wins the job because they definitely don't love Didi Gregorius starting there. So,
do you know is Rob going to Vegas? No, he's not going to Vegas, right?
Shoot, I don't think I know that. Oh God, we asked him this question on the pod, and I don't remember what he said.
Oh no, I think he said because his family, because mom stuff. I don't think he's going. I think that's what he said. Great episode, by the way. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I've been listening to a lot more fantasy baseball episodes of just all the podcasts, and got to sit and listen to you guys talk to Rob. It was a really, really good episode. Definitely go check that out.
The 90s music
that was fun.
It was awesome too. Yeah, we all kind of grew up when our formative years were in the 90s for music wise, so we're very interested in there's so many great albums coming out around that time, Nirvana, Hootie and the Blowfish, and Smashing Pumpkins, so much good music at that point. But yeah, Rob's a great guy. We're happy that he's getting back on the mic. He's getting the pull hitter pod going again. So, it was a really good conversation. I had a lot of great conversations with some really good high stakes players this offseason. So it's been a blessing to have that opportunity for sure.
Yeah, it's a great episode. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Thank you.
Let's see. We have today one of the signings today, Andrew McCutchen to the Brewers. What does this do?
Yeah, that kind of happened right before, like, I haven't really gotten a chance to process it yet because, like, obviously Tyrone Taylor looks a lot worse for
I think he's out of a job.
Yeah, and then also what does that do to Hira? Because they were kind of thinking about moving him to the outfield. I kind of thought he made sense as a DH, but they might just want to play McCutchen at DH because he's kind of getting too old to be playing the field much either. So
right now, Roster Resource has McCutchen at DH and Kira in the minors.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to end up happening with that whole situation. It's going to be interesting. I loved Hira as a late dart throw because like the guy has so much talent, and if you can take a
reworked his swing this offseason too, ditch the leg kick.
Yeah. Well, if he comes into spring training and lights it up like he could, there's some players who spring training matters more for, and he's one of those players. If he comes in and he lights it up and he looks really good, I think they'll find a place to play him.
The hard part is Tyrone Taylor is out of options. And so they would have to get rid of Jace Peterson or Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's going to happen.
I don't either. They could make a move too. They could deal one of these guys. I don't know.
Maybe they trade Taylor.
Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, because I mean, Brassero is the only guy on that bench right now with options.
He hits lefties really well.
And he plays multiple positions.
Yeah, I don't see them. No, I definitely see them.
They just traded for him. Yeah,
right.
They just traded for him. So, yeah, I mean, almost the entire team is out of options too. Like, this is not a team that's going to change a whole lot. I think that this was really bad news for Hero, which is a bummer for me because I drafted him in a couple TCs. So
ditto. But the good thing was the upside was massive and the downside was almost nothing because it's like a last 5-round pick.
And this team is super injury prone. I mean, you've got Yelich, McCutchen, Lorenzo Cain, Colton Wong. I mean, all these guys have injury issues or have had injury issues. So, like, all it takes is an injury or two, and Hira's up. Tyrone Taylor's in the starting lineup. So,
yeah,
I love this move for McCutchen because right now, Roster Resource has him hitting 4th behind Adames and Yelich and in front of Tellez and Renfroe.
It seems like 4th or 5th would probably be where you'd see him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to go righty, lefty, 4th is the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, keep in mind that the Brewers do they rest their guys, kind of like Ray's light. So like he's not going to be playing every day. Kane, McCutchen, Yelich could play every day as long as he's all right. Renfroe, it's possible that they play close to every day, but McCutchen and Kane will be rested. So
I like Renfroe a lot this year.
I like him. I think he's going far too early. Like I think there's guys with these exact.
I don't think he's going early enough.
What's the difference between him and Jorge Soler?
A better contact profile.
Slightly, but probably less power too.
And much better defense.
Okay.
He's a really good defender.
Right.
And what has always been the issue with Renfroe?
In terms of like he doesn't get playing time against lefties, you mean?
Yeah. He's been bad against lefties. He fixed that last year. And it wasn't luck. It was he had like a 250 BABIP against lefties. And he still hit them decently enough.
Oh no, he's always been bad against righties, I guess.
Righties. Sorry, righties. Yeah.
Yeah.
He fixed it though.
And it was, what did he do to fix it?
I think he stopped swinging outside of the zone so much.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe he reverts back, but right now he's a really good defensive player, has a really good park. The problem is he doesn't steal bases. So, but I actually like where he's going. I drafted him in Barf.
I mean, I like him. I just, for where he goes, I just feel like I can get that.
I got him super late in Barf, I want to say too. Oh, that's Glarf. I got him in the end of the 13th round.
Okay, so around pick like 190, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
so, I'm happy with him.
I think he's solid. I think I'm just usually looking at other things at that point in the draft. I don't dislike him at all though.
Okay. Let's see. Next person is the aforementioned Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh God,
broken wrist. He's going to be out about 3 months. I love how they said, but he's a quick healer.
Built differently, all that stuff. So,
I know you were already fading him because of the shoulder.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can draft him?
Sure, you can, but you like, okay, like you could draft him in Yahoo where you've got an IL slot, or you could draft him in a
Mm-hmm.
DC and play other guys in the meantime, but he's still going to go way too early. Like people are going to be taking shots
I
on
saw
him
people
inside the
saying
top
that
10 rounds.
Yeah, I saw people saying he was still a top 75 to 100 player.
No.
Oh.
Here's the thing. What is going on with him? Like, does he have some sort of fear of surgery? Because he apparently got into 2 separate motorcycle accidents. And
okay,
so last year he wouldn't get shoulder surgery, right? Like, even though he knew he needed it, whatever. Okay, maybe they're in the playoffs and they're trying to make the playoff push he doesn't want to get. Then this offseason, though, he still doesn't want to get. Then he breaks his wrist, still doesn't want to get. Like, is he afraid of surgery, or does he just think that he's superhuman and he's just going to heal and it's going to be okay?
So for those people who are like, oh, this is stupid that he's even riding a motorcycle. So he lives in the Dominican Republic, and this is how people get around in the Dominican Republic. This is just, everybody rides motorcycles. He apparently did not think the accidents he got in were that serious. He thought they were just scrapes and bruises, had a little bit of soreness, didn't think anything of it. But apparently, yeah, it's a broken or fractured wrist. I mean, I once fractured my wrist and spent 3 months without a cast, not realizing it was broken. So,
but did it heal correctly and all that?
Yeah, no, it ended up healing fine.
Okay.
I was also 12 or 13. So, I mean, my body was still kind of growing. Never been an issue for me.
I'm just assuming that if that were the case, that if it just heals on its own, they wouldn't be pushing him to get the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a much more serious issue. There's no way I can draft him.
No.
Like, me and Jake were texting earlier, just kind of joking and talking about, like, the Vegas and stuff like that. And I said, I wonder how much Tatis would go for at the auction.
Yeah.
Because that's a place I can throw him out there and know I'm not going to get him.
Right.
And someone else can have that on their roster.
Interesting guy to start with. Just throw him out there just to set the tone.
I mean, I won't, but Acuna might be a guy I do, though.
Okay.
So
yeah.
But typically, and like I kind of mentioned with Jake, I was like, typically I like to throw out a guy that I'm interested, that is kind of like the last guy of a tier for me, because I want to gauge the market. Like, but I also don't mind just throwing out random guys every once in a while, especially if I'm kind of stuck and don't know who to throw out. Then I'll throw out someone like, hey, here's someone I have no interest in, Tatis, Acuna,
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously in leagues with your IL, you can still draft him. Here's the problem, though. Most leagues don't have unlimited IL spots. Most leagues have 1, 3, 5, and COVID's still a thing. Mm-hmm. There are going to be other guys who get hurt.
There's going to be other guys who get hurt in spring training, by the way.
Yeah, we're already seeing it, right? Because we're going to talk about a couple of them
This is before spring training even, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even had a spring training game yet.
Right.
This is just guys throwing and taking batting practice.
It's going to be a lot more coming, guys.
Yeah, so I just don't... I don't... Like, I know the upside is massive, but we also
can't stash him for 3 months.
We've also seen after these wrist surgeries, guys be sapping their power for a little bit.
Yes, yeah. This is the biggest thing that took me a while to figure out when I was first starting to play, that I've known for a while now, but that people still have to remind themselves of, I find, is you can't think that, okay, this is still Fernando Tatis. Absolutely. He's going to be a watered down version of Fernando Tatis.
He might be Fernando Tatis. Like, there is, in the range of outcomes, we saw this last year, right? Because with him, right? So he separates the shoulder. We're like, oh my God, this is going to be disastrous. He's going to not have as much power. I was on a podcast with Kev, Rotosurgeon.
Yeah.
And after the first, dislocation of his shoulder, and Kev's like, I'd drop him. I'm like, you can't drop him. But no. Like, he was really, really concerned, and he's a fake surgeon. He's not really a surgeon. So he was really concerned that the power was not going to come back. And what happened? He was fantastic, right? In 130 games or whatever, he was the best player in baseball.
Right.
So, like, in the range of outcomes, obviously, when he comes back, he could be amazing down the stretch. He could also be a lot less powerful. I don't want to say powerless, because I still think a powerless version of him is better than maybe other players. So that being said, the range of outcomes is so wide, I'm not going to mess with it.
I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty sure the risks are a lot more like everybody who's coming off of wrist injury, their power is down significantly. I don't know if that's the same thing with the shoulder, because the thing with his shoulder was it was sublux. So like when it was not popped out of its socket, I think it was normal. The problem was that at any point it can repop out of its socket. So I don't think it was hindering his performance as long as it was in its socket and he was like swinging a bat.
So, but the wrist injuries have like very varied effects. For some people, when they come back, we saw this Marcus Semien when he came back from the hamate bone injury, he lost some power, right? This is the down year in between his big 2019 and his big 2021. So, but with other guys, Matt Olson, right? Matt Olson had the hamate bone surgery and he was fine when he came back. I think it's case by case. I'm just not willing to risk even close to a top 100 pick.
Because even when he comes back from the wrist injury, he still has the shoulder, right? So like the whole reason that I was fading him is still a thing even after he comes back in 3 months.
Yeah, because 3 months puts you at the end of June.
Right. Now, is it 3 months from the start of the season, like, or is it 3 months from like now?
I don't know.
Okay,
but 3 months. I mean, even 3 months from right now would be what June. What is today? The
mid-June.
15th. So mid-June. 3 months from the start of the season is beginning of July, and then why wouldn't they wait till the All-Star break?
Yeah, exactly.
So either way, he's not a top 100 player.
You can't, guys. I'm telling you this right now. If you're going to try to draft him in NFBC and stash him on a 7-man bench, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, you can't do it in a league like NFBC. You have to do it in a league.
Yahoo gives you a couple of IL slots,
but even a couple isn't enough.
I know. I'm agreeing. He's not a guy I'll have anywhere.
Here's the place I can do it, right? And so this obviously isn't going to translate for everybody, but I've got Tout Wars mixed auction next week or next weekend, right on Saturday. We have unlimited IL spots.
Oh, wow.
We can draft as many injured guys as we want, right?
Because and why wouldn't you if that was the case? Yeah.
Right. So he may be the guy I throw out first, or Acuna may be the guy I throw out first. So traditionally, I've thrown out a $1 player just to see if I can get him. Last year it was Cedric Mullins. Year before it was Lewis Brinson. Got him both times. So, but these are guys I could potentially throw out to kind of see, because technically I can stash as many people as I want. I don't know that it's still a very good allocation of your auction dollars or your draft value or your draft spots. So,
right.
Because if we're talking about let's say pick 75 is what, the 6th round? Is that right? Am I doing that right?
30, 75 40. Would be through 5.
Yeah, through 5. So the 6th round.
So that would be the start of the 6th round. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of talent there that you're passing up on. That's going to be playing. Like
the whole year. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you push it out to 100, like it's
just like there's just guys. There's other ways to win, right? Like you don't need these massive risks in order to win in fantasy baseball. There's just no need for this.
You took Willy Adames in round 8.
Yeah. I would much rather have Willy Adames. For an entire season.
Yeah, Trent Grisham went in round 8. Like in your draft. So I just don't know that I'm,
Jose Altuve, Jorge Polanco.
Because I think while we'd like to say that he could be back in 3 months, there's obviously a realistic expectation that he's not.
There could be setbacks, and then what if he decides to do that? Like, so let's say he ends up getting the surgery. Then why wouldn't they also say, well, why don't you just get your shoulder surgery at the same time?
Is it the same arm?
I don't know.
I think that's a big question. Do you want to have surgery on 2 different arms?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would not.
I don't know.
As a person with bad shoulders, I would not want to get shoulder surgery and then wrist surgery in the other arm because you can't use either arm then. That's a problem.
That's true. Good point.
So, I mean, I think I don't know. I honestly
don't either.
I don't even I don't remember what wrist it is. So, but yeah, either way, I'm not drafting him. You shouldn't either. All right, let's keep it moving because we got about half hour left before I've got to definitely be off.
Okay.
So Ian Happ had a minor knee surgery. I think it was just like a scope type of thing. He should be ready for opening day. They're hopeful that he's going to be ready for opening day.
Okay.
Where are you at on Ian Happ?
He's a tough guy to evaluate even before this. Like he didn't run all season, and then he went buck wild in September and ran he had 9 steals or something like that. He's got legit power. I thought he would get all the playing time he could handle because the Cubs weren't going anywhere. I don't know what the fuck they're doing now, but I still like him. I'm hoping, but I would like to get at least a round of a discount after this, because he might start slowly. He might not. It's a knee surgery. If it's a scope, shouldn't be anything major. But what if he doesn't run? Then at least to start. So I would say I want to get him at a bit of a discount, but if he falls a bit, I'm still willing to take him.
So he's currently going around pick 195, just in front of Ozuna and Seiya Suzuki. Obviously, Suzuki's going to climb quite a bit wherever he signs.
Yeah.
So let me give you some would you rathers. Would you rather Ian Happ or Jesus Sanchez going around pick 228?
Oh God,
I know you like Sanchez.
That's why I love Jesus Sanchez so much. And this is
2 rounds later.
I know, and this is why I haven't ended up with Happ yet, because I'd rather take guys like Sanchez. Yeah, I'd probably Sanchez.
What about Harrison Bader?
Happ.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on Bader, but I don't know what to make of him. I'm probably gonna lower him by rank.
Yeah, he's a tough guy to figure out too. But the other thing is, where's he going to hit in that lineup? Because I think there's a good chance he hits 9th or 8th or something like that. Whereas Happ could hit leadoff, or somewhere in the top half of the lineup. They have Ross Resource has him at 4th. I just don't think that Bader is. I can't take him over Happ.
Yeah, I'm so afraid that Bader becomes like a platoon player.
Could.
In short side. So, would you do Happ or Joe Adell?
I think Happ, pretty soundly. Okay. As much as I like Adell, I don't think his playing time is safe either. And I think Marsh's playing time is way safer than Adell's is. I think they want Marsh to start in center field. They're already talking about moving Trout off of center field, and they want Marsh to play there. I don't know that if they bring someone else in, I don't know if that Adell stays up right now.
I think Adell's going to stay up. I think the Justin Upton experiment's just about over. So,
but even if they add somebody else,
if they add someone, they're adding it at shortstop.
Okay, I thought I've heard that them talking about adding an outfielder, but I could be wrong.
I haven't heard that, but I mean, who knows? I mean, there's such a glaring hole there at shortstop. Do they really want Tyler Wade as the starter? I did take Tyler Wade as my last pick in Barb just because. Why not?
I don't buy him as a starter. I mean,
but he shouldn't be a starter, right?
Like, no.
Rengifo or Rengifo shouldn't be either. So, like, I don't. They've got to get a shortstop. So, like, Story just makes too much sense for the Angels. I don't know
like a natural fit there.
I don't know how they haven't gotten that done. But anyways, all right, let's move it along. I like Happ as well, by the way. I don't know if I said that. I do. I'm he'll drop a little bit in my ranks just because of this, but I'm also not. It doesn't sound something to be super worried about.
Scopes aren't that concerning.
What is concerning is Adbert Alzolay, shoulder tightness. They said it's going to be more than a minimum stay on the IL, which is 15 days this year. Pitchers' IL stints are going to be 15 days.
Right.
So more than that means probably missing at least the first month of the season. You got to drop him and move on if you've already drafted him, and you shouldn't be drafting him at this point.
Yes, absolutely. He's now on my do not draft list. I drafted him in the 24th round of Glarf, and immediately found out about this the next day, and I was like, son of a bitch. Yep, he'll be a drop before week 1 for me for sure. And I will not be drafting anymore Alzole, unfortunately. He fell to me too. I was like, oh man, I love this spot for him, and of course,
at least it's an easy cut though.
I mean, yeah, it is an easy cut for sure.
Zach Gallen has bursitis in his shoulder. Are you worried about this?
I mean, yes, because obviously there were issues with him last year too. But bursitis kind of varies in how serious it is. So I would wait to see more information. But he wasn't really a target for me. He wasn't a fade either. He was just a guy that would be an option if my guys that my targets in an area weren't there or whatever. But I probably will continue not drafting him for the most part.
Yeah, this is a guy that I've, again, gone back and forth on. I was completely out. You and I argued about whether or not he was just as big as risk as DeGrom earlier. Yeah. I kind of came around. You and John Legeza kind of pushed back at me, and I appreciate that. And I kind of came around. He did throw the most amount of innings in the second half last year.
Mm-hmm.
This puts me out on him again. Like
he threw a lot of, as George pointed out in our group chat too, though, he threw a lot of fastballs last year. Like it seemed like he kind of lost confidence in his off speed stuff. So there's some red flags there. Like I definitely think that DeGrom's a bigger risk, especially for where you take him, obviously. But yeah, I just don't think I don't see any need to take Gallen, especially on the Diamondbacks. Like there's just so many things that are not in his favor.
Okay. We're going to just roll through these quickly so we can get to covering our drafts real quick.
Yeah.
Steve Cishek to the Nets. We don't care. Starling Marte has a sore oblique. Are we worried about that?
He could. I mean, obliques are pretty much a month. You miss right around
6
a month.
Weeks usually,
and then you're. Is it 6 weeks? I thought. Okay.
Usually.
Yeah. So he could end up missing a month of the season. I would be concerned. I'm not looking to take him in the second round anymore. At least I would want a round or two of a discount.
I wasn't taking him in the second round either way, but
fair enough.
I'm definitely not taking him close to that. He'll drop in my ranks too. Acuna won't play the outfield until at least May. Hopeful to return by May.
Yeah. Hopeful, there's those are those words that you see, and the people are like, oh, so he's back by May.
People keep seeing these batting practice videos and they're super excited by him.
This is why I tell people stop watching the fucking videos. They do nothing but mislead you and thinking that, oh, this guy's healthy now. Look at this video of him doing XYZ. It doesn't matter. They're putting these out for a reason. You're seeing these for a reason. It's because they're trying to show that he's healthy, and it's not. That doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is you should not be drafting him where he's going. Like
no,
even
nowhere close. No, because and then his injury has a high re-injury rate. So even when he's back, and even if he what's going to stop him from taking it easy on running for a while too? Like you're not getting Ronald Acuna at
the Braves may say don't steal bases.
Yeah, why would they push?
If they're not letting him play the outfield, are they going to let him steal bases?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Domingo Germán, shoulder issues. I've never been a Domingo Germán guy. I'm still not. This doesn't really change my opinion of him because I wasn't drafting him anyways.
I mean, yeah, he's a guy I would take in DCs as like an innings eater kind of guy on a good team who can get wins. But now that he's having shoulder issues, I'm kind of fading for now.
I wonder if the Yankees are in the market for another starter. Josh Naylor is close to 100%. I'm excited. I like Josh Naylor. I think he could be real interesting if he's ready to go start of the season. I mean, the Guardians have room in that outfield.
You love our platoon guys. You love him and Zimmer. I just I'm hoping that they're good, but not a guy I really am interested in either.
I think he's an interesting DC guy. No, I mean not in a 30-round league. I'm not drafting him, but
right
in a DC, I think he's an interesting guy.
That's fine. He'll be a platoon guy versus righties strong side. So,
yeah. Rendon, Melanson, Raciel Iglesias, Ranger Suarez all are delayed due to personal reasons or travel issues. I think Suarez is a visa issue.
Yeah.
He probably won't be ready to start the season. Raciel Iglesias and Melanson and Rendon are all personal issues, not injury related. Any worries there?
I mean, my only worry is that if someone's lying about something and that they're just saying it's personal issues, but then it's something like bigger, like they, what was it in the NFL when you had who's the wide receiver for Atlanta that just got suspended for a year?
Ridley.
He was betting. Ridley, yeah. So it was like, oh, I'm taking time off for mental issues or personal issues and all that stuff, and then it turned out to be a suspension. So as long as these aren't anything,
no. So let's clarify that though, because it was personal issues, and while he was on a sabbatical for mental health issues, he got caught gambling.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was two separate things.
He went to Vegas and made a bet on games while he was in Vegas. While he was on leave for mental health issues.
Okay.
So this was it wasn't like this wasn't a cover up or something like that.
Okay.
But
yeah, so I guess I'm not overly concerned. I mean, Ranger Suarez, if he doesn't start the season, should probably be downgraded a little bit. But other than that, I don't think Iglesias, Melanson, and Rendon. Although I think Rendon's personal issues could also be any number of body parts that he's injured over the years. So
I'm not drafting Rendon. I'm probably not drafting Rendon this year.
No.
I just
can't do it.
I'm fine drafting Iglesias and Melanson. Suarez I like, but you have to downgrade him if he's
right.
If he's going to be missing maybe first 2 starts of the season.
Yep.
So, all right, let's talk about your Glarf team.
Yeah.
You were drafting from the 11 spot. You started Harper because Ozzie Albies went 1 pick in front of you to Jenny Butler.
Yeah,
and you yelled at her.
I did. Well, I more yelled in general than at her, but yeah. Right off the bat, I've got the 11th pick. I'm like, there's no way that Ozzie Albies is going to go before pick 11, because I'm like, well, if Burns or Tucker fall to me, I'm happy to take them at 11. But and I didn't want pick 11. That just kind of happened that way. But I'm like, someone's going to take Acuna, someone's going to take Vlad, and all that stuff. And of course, Acuna and Vlad are still on the board, and I wanted neither of them. So I took about 2 minutes and then decided to draft Bryce Harper eventually. So it really just came down to him versus Vlad. Vlad doesn't give me steals, and I much prefer the first baseman later compared to the outfielders, considering I need 5 outfielders. So and you said you would have made the same choice?
Yeah, I would have made the same choice, I think.
Yeah.
I was drafting 12th. I had keyed in on Albies as a guy that I wanted. Like you said, I would have loved to get Cole or Burns, but Dalton Delton's in my league. Toby's in my league. Like, I knew there was no way Cole Burns was making it.
Not unless they're pitching on, not unless they're drafting on the other side of you.
Yeah, well, Toby was drafting on the other side of me. Toby was drafting 14, which made me almost take Zach Wheeler or Woodruff in the first round. Because I was afraid he would take both, which he did on the 1-2 turn.
Which he did.
So we'll get to my team here in a second. I'll explain. That's why I did what I ended up doing. But you then went Machado in the second. Love that pick. Edwin Diaz got a closer. It was a good closer run in your league in the third round.
And I have Diaz as my clear closer 4. Like, I don't like Clase, or I definitely don't like Presley. And then I have, Chapman and Smith and Jansen as the other closers that I'll take early, but I don't have them close to Diaz. So Diaz was the last closer I'd be willing to take.
I have Clase above Diaz, but I have them in kind of the same tier as my 3-4. So you and I both, our ace is Chris Sale. Was that by design, or were that just kind of the way the board fell?
No, I had targeted Sale as my ace in this draft for sure. I think it's interesting that everybody is concerned about. It's like he already had Tommy John, and then he came back last year
and was good.
He wasn't Chris Sale yet, but that's normal. Like you miss the time for Tommy John, you come back, your stuff is flat, and your control isn't all the way back, and then the next year you're normal. So this is that next year. What's to stop him from having a dominant season? I see no reason. So I'm all in on Sale this year.
Okay. Yeah, I've got him as a top 10 starting pitcher. It was not my not what I had wanted to do necessarily. I had kind of hoped well, we'll get to my team in a second. You took Brian Reynolds Great pick.
Love Brian so Reynolds. A lot of people are going to see Brian Reynolds in the 5th and think it's early. I think the guy's a superstar. I think he's basically Xander Bogaerts a couple rounds later in a different position. And if he gets traded to a good offense, he's a superstar. But this was actually a lot of thinking went into this pick because I've got Jake and Max Friese to my right. So they were each getting 2 picks before me, and both are super high on Reynolds. So I jumped Reynolds way up to the 5th or to the 5th. Thinking that a starter that I really liked, hopefully Trevor Rogers or Dylan Cease, was going to come back to me, and Cease ended up coming back to me in the 5th, so I was super pumped about that. And then, in the 6th, and then in the 7th, Christian Yelich was still on the board, which is right around his ADP, but usually he's a guy that gets jumped up, and I'm really high on Yelich for the ability to, if he makes a launch angle adjustment, can be that elite guy again. But even still, he gets steals, he gets homers. And he should hit for a good average and play every day in the middle of a stacked Brewers lineup. And then, as you previously mentioned, I got Adames in the 8th, who I really like. And it kind of was a shortstop run there. Right after I took Adames, Dansby, Swanson, and Correa went pretty quickly right after that. And I didn't have any interest in them. Swanson I like, but he hits so low in that order. I don't love it.
DJ not with Acuna being out. I think he's going to hit 2nd.
Yeah, but Acuna will be back at some point. You think he'll hit 2nd?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to look at their
with
lineup.
Freeman gone. I guess Olsen's there now.
Yeah, they have. I mean, roster resource has Olsen 2nd and Albies leading off. Which, if Albies keeps the leadoff spot all year, then I'm much lower on Albies now because that's going to really depress his RBI numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think Swanson, while Acuna's out, could hit 2nd. Olsen 3rd, Riley 4th.
It's possible. We'll have to look into it more once spring training comes out. LeMahieu fell a bit, and there was there had been a big run on first baseman. Joey Votto went in the 9th round. Dougie Ishikawa took him. He's the guy who I've been targeting in pretty much every draft because he usually goes like round 11. Sometimes you have to take him in 10, which is fine with me, but he went in the 9th, which I didn't see coming, but I took LeMahieu because I didn't have a shortstop or a second baseman or a first baseman yet, and I like his ability for a bounce back this year and gives me a little flexibility. Came back with Bassett in the 10th. Obviously, then he got traded to Mets. I just wanted a stabilizer with Cease and Sale getting me a shit ton of strikeouts there. I just wanted a guy who I could count on for good innings and just safe. And then Luis Garcia fell all the way to the 11th round. I think I got him like a round or 2 after ADP. I like him a lot. And
Love it. Yeah.
Kirilloff in the 12th. I think he just has I'm
surprised by that. I'm not a big Kirilloff guy.
It was really just the result of all the first basemen getting pushed up, and he's both a first baseman and outfielder. I have to admit, this is partially projection. Like, I don't love him either. I didn't like what was on the board. I thought about like Eddie Rosario, but I really wanted to get another first base option there with only LeMahieu on the board so far. Because then other guys ended up going way earlier than like Tellez went early, Aguilar went kind of early. So all the first basemen kind of got pushed up in this draft. So James Anderson's huge on Kirilloff, and I really respect his opinion. He thinks that he's gonna take a big jump. We'll see. I didn't
gotta be healthy. I'm a little worried about the health right now.
Oh, okay. So then I got Stroman in the 13th, which I really like, especially with them getting Simmons there. Yep. And I think he was it was probably right around ADP. So catchers also got pushed up in our league. I took Elias Diaz as my first catcher in round 14, which I usually like to get earlier guys, but someone had just jumped up Christian Vasquez. Chris Deary took him at the end of the 13th. So I felt like Diaz was the last guy that I felt good about as a catcher one. So I took him there. Eugenio Suarez in the 15th. He fell, I think, 2 rounds at this point, and I loved the value. Now, granted, going from Cincy to Seattle is not great, but I
think he'll be fine.
Super unlucky last year with his like home run to fly ball rate and his.
He made a change to his swing in September, and I mean, just was a monster.
Yeah, I still love Suarez as a pick, and I'm hoping he continues to fall. And then Rizzo fell, I think, 2 or 3 rounds to me, and in the 16th round. So now I've got another option. I can move Kirilloff to either corner, infield, or outfield if I want. And if Rizzo goes to the Yankees, I love that. 17th round, I got Matz, who was kind of the last reliable starting pitcher out there that I really liked. Like Josiah Gray was out there who I really liked, but Matz, I felt better about relying on him.
I love Matz this year, so
I do too, especially in St. Louis with that with
that defense behind him.
Yeah, Will Myers in the 18th was a pick because I think he's going to end up playing close to every day somewhere. Like I think they'll deal him, and he gets me steals. Yachty in the 19th was just a guy who plays every day, so I just like that. Very high on Brandon Marsh, so took him in the 20th, which I think was a little earlier than I think you took him in the 22nd round. But this was the draft where people were around this time. People were jumping up to take their guys. Like Connor Joe went in the 19th round, so went way early. You just got to be able to read the draft, and figure out who's going when. Because right after I took Marsh, I heard like 3 or 4 people sigh and get upset about it. So clearly I took him at the right spot. And then on the comeback, I took Margot. Again, I'm just trying to keep adding steals because without Albies, I didn't really start with any big stolen base source. So I'm just trying to get a bunch of guys who give me 8 to 15 steals and hope I can kind of collect along the way. Pavetta in the 22nd, Greinke in the 23rd. Love the value on both of those guys late. Alzoli in the 24th was a bummer, obviously. And then I took 3 spec shots on closers with Colomé in the 25th, who I just found out he had signed there. So felt pretty good about him closing in Colorado, even though obviously it's a shitty situation. Art Warren in the 26th, and then Neris in the 29th. I also wonder if people understand Neris is getting paid $8.5 million a year there. That doesn't mean everything, and Presley is still the favorite, but it would not shock me to see him start with the job. I think that then they could use Presley against lefties who he dominates, and they don't really have any lefties in that bullpen. I took Keston Hira in the 27th. Obviously, we discussed that earlier. It looked a lot better before they signed McCutcheon. But I still like it. I still like taking the shot in the 27th round. Nick Senzel in the 28th. Just a bet on talent. This is a former first-round pick.
And he's got a full-time role now, too. So, I mean, as long as he's healthy.
I think he always did. Like, Roster Resource said TJ Friedel starting in center. Like, that was never going to happen.
I like Friedel. But I don't know
fine,
where
there was a 0% chance they're starting him over Senzel. So I just, for me, it's just Senzel's a pick until he gets hurt, and if he lights it up, which he could, then it's a great pick. And if not, you just drop him easily. And then with my last pick, just because I need steals, I took Yanni Hernandez, who he profiles kind of like he's a really good contact hitter who runs a lot. And with the trade of IKF out of there, there's a possibility that he gets playing time. They kind of said that Ibanez seems like the favorite right now, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. All right. I'll run through my team.
What are your thoughts?
I like your team a lot. You might have some stolen base issues.
Yep, I agree.
Love your starters. As long as one of those relievers you took towards the end, holds a job, I think you'll be fine in terms of saves. So, I like your team a lot. I don't really see many major issues with it. There's certain picks maybe I'd quibble with, but you and I had some overlap in our drafts.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna bag on your
shared.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bag on your draft and then 1/6 of your team is the same as my team. So my team, I started. I was picking for pick 12. Like I said, I'd wanted Albies.
And of course, Albies falls to you at 12, and he doesn't even fall to me at 11.
So when Acuna went 10 and Ohtani went 11, when Acuna went 10, I was like, okay, I'm going to either get Albies or Tucker. And then Ohtani went 11. I was like, oh, now I've got a choice. I saw all the outfielders that were still on the board. I knew that Toby would go pitcher. Right. I figured Bubba, who's right behind me, would take at least one pitcher. I thought Howard Bender would take a pitcher too on the wheel. And so I was like, oh, okay. Luis Robert, Mookie Betts, one of them is gonna make, and Tucker, one of those three is gonna make it back to me in the second round.
Who is Team 5?
Team 5.
No, sorry, Team 6.
Team 6 is Dalton Del Don.
Wow, took Mondesi in the third.
Yes, and he is a big proponent. I'll share my board. If I can,
I know he goes pitcher wild.
Yeah, he goes pitcher really, really aggressively. But we were really surprised when he took Mondesi in the third.
Because I'm looking at your board and I'm like, what the hell? Raisel Iglesias fell to the end of the third. Teoscar Hernandez is there at the end of the third. You got Mullins at the end of the third. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. So I took Betts in the second. I regretted it pretty quickly because of how quickly pitching then went. I kind of wish I'd either
I would have taken Iglesias there for sure. Oh man, Scherzer was there, and
I'm talking about in the end of the second. So Woodruff, Scherzer going right in front of me.
Yeah. Never mind.
I was debating Nola or Bueller, or either Hader or Hendricks. And I went with Betts just because I love the upside there. I think people are a little overblowing his injuries from last year a little bit.
It's just whether he runs with the hip or not. I mean, I don't think the hip is like any major injury. I just know that they didn't push him to run until the playoffs, so I just don't know if he will.
So I'm not super worried about Betts. But then all that yellow, as you can see on the board, for those of you who are watching, I'll link the boards in the or I'll put links to the boards in the show notes for people who are just listening.
I think he did very well catching up on pitching though with Sale, Lynn, and Will Smith.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
So Mullins made it back to me in the third, and I felt like one, the meme of it was too good. I was wearing a Cedric Mullins jersey,
right?
And I'm the Cedric Mullins guy,
right?
And
Gotta
so
represent.
I took him. I figured one of Iglesias, Clase, or Diaz would make it back to me. None of them did, and so I was in a position where I was like, well, I guess I'm taking Chris Sale. I was torn between Chris Sale and Webb. I have Sale ranked just a little bit higher, so I went with Sale.
Strikeouts should be much better.
Yeah, I went with Sale, figuring that I could get Musgrove or Lynn in the next round. Lynn fell to me, and then I took Will Smith in the sixth. So I got my closer. I got two starters who I have as top 15 starters in Sale and Lynn.
Yeah.
Eloy slipped, and I was like, I could use a little extra power. I've got all Albies, I've got Mullins, both could regress a little bit in power. I care more about their average and stolen bases, but Eloy felt like a really good bat. I think he's a really good bounce back candidate. In seventh round, end of seventh round, felt like it was too good of a value pass up. So I took Eloy, then took Blake Snell as my SP3. We talked about Willy Adames. I guess I got Willy Adames in the ninth, not the eighth. And then I was hoping to get LeMahieu, but he went a lot earlier than. Let's see, where did LeMahieu go? No,
he went in the ninth.
So he went right before I was able to get him in the ninth. So I ended up taking Jake Cronenworth, which is LeMahieu-esque, in the 10th. Because we had a first base run again. I probably should have taken CJ Cron instead of Adames. I made some mistakes in this draft.
See, I would have taken Votto over Cronenworth is what I would have done.
Yeah, I probably could have done that. I thought there was a chance Votto would make it back to me in the 11th. I was wrong. But I made a few mistakes in this draft where I took catchers in the odd number round, not realizing that, and this happens later in the draft, but both or all of the guys who were on the 13, 14, 15 kind of turn area had catchers. Like I didn't need to take the catcher before them because none of them were going to take another catcher. And made
in
mistakes.
The 17th where you took Sean Murphy, you mean?
Yeah. So instead of taking I wanted Hyunjin Ryu in the 17th, but I took Sean Murphy instead and ended up not getting Ryu in that 18th round. It happened again later on in the 23rd round. I didn't need to take Torrens there. I wanted Yoshi Tsugo, and he didn't make it back around to me, so I took Carlos Hernandez. But so then I took Luis Urias. I have a lot of positional flexibility on this team.
Yeah,
with Urias and Jake Cronenworth. And I believe there's somebody else with multi-positional eligibility. Also, I love Justin Turner this year. So I took him in the 11th. Hunter Renfroe, who we talked about earlier, I'm a big fan of his. Got him in the 13th. Dylan Floro, I took in the 14th. And people seemed a little surprised. I think Floro's kind of locked in. I think Floro is.
I think a lot of people are expecting them to add someone, but I don't know that that's a certain.
Jeter quit because they wouldn't add more payroll.
Well, that's true. That
and so, true. I think people like, oh, Kenley's going there. I don't think Kenley's going there. I don't think they can afford Kenley.
Probably not.
So
no, I'm fine with where you put Floro. Yeah.
So, and then I took Bauer in the 15th. There was the report that he was, another week of administrative leave, but I don't know that there's going to be much they can do to suspend him. I mean, they already made him miss half of the season.
I feel like he can sue MLB at this point if he gets kind of blackballed or whatever.
I think he probably will. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I took the gamble. I think pretty much my only stash of the draft. Luis Patino, I took him to piss off Eno. Eno's a big fan, and had been sniping me quite a bit from the 10 spot.
Wow, so you took Patino before Ranger Suarez, Steven Matz. Wow.
Well, the news on Suarez had come out,
okay.
and that he was going to miss some starts, so I kind of lowered him in my ranks. I've got Patino pretty high. I think the skills are pretty amazing.
I love Patino's skills, but does he definitely have a spot in that rotation is the question.
I think he definitely has a spot in the rotation. The question is, how deep into games will they let him pitch?
Okay.
So
I'm not convinced that he does, but we'll see.
I think Boz goes down.
That could very well happen, but they could still add someone too. I don't know.
Yeah, they haven't yet though. So
right.
Sean Murphy, the catchers went really fast in this draft, and so I felt like Sean Murphy, he's going to play every day, and if Oakland trades him, great. If they don't trade him, then he's going to hit up really high in that lineup. So it's kind of a decent, decent spot either way for Sean Murphy. I felt like I wanted a little bit more speed, so I grabbed Andres Jimenez, another multi-positional eligible guy. Lane Thomas, I like getting guys who hit at the top of the lineup. Lane Thomas looks like he's going to do that. I kind of hedged my Patino bet with Drew Rasmussen, who I really like the skills from last year. I think he is a guy they're going to let go.
Eno also loves Rasmussen too.
And I got to snipe Eno. Eno yelled at me for that one, which is always a good feeling.
Which team is Eno?
Eno, I believe, was team 10. He was the team that drafted Acuna. Yeah, so 10.
Okay.
So then in round 21, I took Kyle Finnegan. That one looks like it's going to not be good. So, damn. Yeah. Took Brandon Marsh in 22.
Oh, we both got him in, or no, I took him in 20.
You got him in 20.
Yeah.
Then Luis Torrens, again, another pick that probably doesn't feel as good now that Seattle's added so much. I think he's probably a platoon guy, but he's, a catcher eligible guy who's probably not catching. So, if I end up dropping him, I end up dropping him. Oh, well,
There's only like 3 catchers taken after you took Torrens.
Yeah, the catching went really, really fast.
Yeah, people locked in catcher, which, I mean, that's good for them. At least they understood the format.
Yeah.
Because we did change that from last year, where we only had 1 catcher. Now it's 2, so.
Yeah. Then Carlos Hernandez and Patrick Corbin.
Love that.
Yeah, I love both those guys. So
you're never going to give up on Corbin, man.
I'm not going to give up.
And there's reasons not to. I get it.
Yeah. He was a top 10 pitcher not that long ago. And then looking at my team, my only first baseman, I think, was Cronenworth. Or I may have drafted someone else. Did I draft someone else? No, my only first baseman was Cronenworth. And I'm like, well, that kind of screws his
eligibility.
His eligibility, even though I've got a lot of eligibility with other guys. And
you can always pick up first baseman off of waivers, though. For sure.
And I also felt like I might be a little bit light on power. And so I grabbed Bobby Bradley. Yes, the batting average is going to suck, but he has a ton of power. I think they're going to give him the first crack at having everyday at bats in Cleveland. So Bradley is a guy that I've kind of gotten late in drafts. Then I took a couple dart throws with Chris Stratton and Art Warren.
Yeah, I like that.
I think Stratton is at worst going to share the role with Bednar, and honestly, he could just be the guy. I know everybody loves Bednar's skills, but Pittsburgh is a team that they don't put young guys typically in that closer role because they don't want to ratchet up their arbitration numbers. And Stratton is cost controlled and, a little bit older, and was effective as a closer. So then I took a shot on Jaron Duran. I was between him and Clint Frazier, but I've gotten Frazier in a few other leagues, and so I just want to take the gamble on Duran. If he ends up platooning or isn't playing well, I just drop, move on. And then I took Tyler Wade, another multi-positional eligible guy who right now is penciled in at shortstop. I don't know how long he's going to stay there, but that's what I thought would be good. So
yeah, but in the last 5 picks, you're just taking shots on guys that you think can give you something that helps right away, and if not, you drop them and move on. No big deal.
So I clearly have some issues with batting average.
Yep.
But while this does have an overall component, I'm not necessarily I care as much about the overall. It's really about winning my league.
Already giving up on winning the Earth overall title already, huh?
Well, and it's a smaller overall, so like I feel like I can devalue batting average better than in a 10 league overall, as opposed to in a 30 or a 50 or 100 league overall. Okay. So we'll see how it works. I don't know, but I like my team overall.
You didn't mention, but you also took Justin Turner in the 11th, which will help your batting.
Love Justin Turner. I'm a huge Justin Turner guy.
He'll help your batting average a good amount. I think if you had taken a guy like Michael Brantley, it would have helped a lot too. But like you took, like, he went round 17. But yeah, no, I liked. I mean, I've seen your drafts over the years, and I like this significantly more than most of the drafts I've seen from you. So I think you did a good job, and especially starting with like the Albies, Betts, Mullins combo. Like, you're getting so much 5 category production there.
Yeah.
And then you were still able to get Sale, Lynn, and Will Smith after that. So I do really, I think that, like you were saying with mine, there's some quibbles, but I do really like what you did here. So
thanks.
Yeah, now the question is 2 things. First of all, will Barf be able to hang with Glarf this year? Because you couldn't.
I made the plea to everybody. I explained the rules. I got to
explain. You explained the rules, but you don't even know yourself because you didn't even read the charter that I wrote.
I read it yesterday.
You collected the wrong amount of money from people.
Yeah, so that's a problem. I explained the rules, how the overall worked, that the winning league of the overall gets the money to donate to their charity of choice.
And your charity is?
I can't remember. It's the charity that we're doing for the guy who passed away.
Andy Spiteri?
Andy Spiteri.
PanCan?
Yeah, so we're doing it for that. I said that's
okay. So you and Turf are both playing for PanCan.
Yeah. So
let me put that on the sheet that you're supposed to be filling in along the way.
Oh, okay, I thought I had. Sorry, I apologize. No, that's right. I put Justin Mason's bank account.
Yep, I deleted that.
So so we're playing for that charity. So I explained that, hey,
pancreatic cancer, for those of you who don't know.
I explained that, hey, even if you're in last place, you got to try.
Exactly.
So that way we, the entire league has to beat all the other leagues. So I'm hoping they do. If they don't, then we don't win. But I want to win my league.
It's on you because you're the commissioner. You got to keep everybody motivated and make sure everybody's, keeping up with this stuff as much as they can. I know the people.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'd love to win the overall as a league, but ultimately, I feel the same way about like TGFBI, Tout Wars. Your name is attached to this.
Right.
So if you want your name to look shitty because you perform shitty, that's on you.
Yeah. I'm hoping people stay motivated though, because that was the whole reason I structured it this way, was so that it keeps everybody actively engaged, and it was a way to give back to charity as well. So the way that I did it was the average player, points per player, player meaning in your league, like you or me or whatever, the average points in the overall standings, whoever has the highest average player points, that's the league that wins for their charity. So even if you're in last place and you can't win your league, you can still help your league win overall. So it's going to be, I think, I mean, I'm really excited for this year. I hope everybody is too. And it's great to be able to give back to charity along the way and have all these new area leagues spring up. We've got 10 leagues from all over the United States and Canada. And everybody's making their own unique logo, unique trophy for their league. So it's really cool and turning into something that I think can be very special.
I unfortunately am late to a meeting, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. Remind everybody where you can reach the social media, plug anything you got going on.
Run D McD, and really just been focusing on Earth and getting ready for the Vegas drafts for NFBC coming up in about 10 days here.
Nice. You can reach me on Twitter at Mason FWFB. Email me or the show, friendsoffantasybenefits@gmail.com. You can catch me on the Sleeper and the Bus podcast, the TGFBI podcast, and obviously the Friends of Fantasy Benefits podcast. And I'm writing daily over at Fangraphs right now. So you can catch a lot of my work over there at the moment. And yeah, that will wrap us up. And I'll be in Vegas. Looking forward to hanging out with you in Vegas, buddy.
Yeah, ditto, for sure.
So, and then you
come
and I
say hi. If you guys are in Vegas, come say hi to Justin and I.
You and I have the tag team league next Sunday, right?
I didn't even look at what date it was. Was it 20th? Yeah.
Okay. 20th.
The upcoming Sunday. Yeah.
Yes, this upcoming Sunday. So we'll be talking about that next week. So
for sure. Yeah.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.